Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
And welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we got a great edition for the Tuesday night show. Carl Crusher is here. 3.1 million subscribers on YouTube, watching him go through the deserts of Nevada and Utah, looking for the weird and strange. You know what? I bet you 2.9 of them, 2.9 million of them, just follow him for his awesome beard. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I know that's why I hit the subscribe button there. Dirty Phil should be here, I think, sometime tonight. We'll see where that goes. And the best part, we got all of you. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position, SJ with the silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee with a bronze medal tonight. Robert Lamont, Dino Bravo, and James Horn, nice to see you. Hi, Bar Madison. Roy Boy is here. Roy Boy will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Chris 716, Kathy Evans, and Lee the Bee. Good to see you all. Eternity Eternal, how are you? Roger Murray, good to see you. And Les Paul Holland, strumming away in Australia. So jealous of your guitar collection, man. Dragonfly, nice to see you as we continue on with roll call tonight. Philip Buckanuts, how you doing? Good to see you. And there he is, number 36 in your program, starting in goal from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. Hello there, Chris. Teen, how are you? And Paramarv. T-Bone, my man, where have you been hiding? Where have you been hiding? It's good to have you here, my friend. We've missed you. Millennium, my man, thank you for coming on in. And W. David Page, Noble Patrick, Deer Slayer, how's it going? And there's Kurt M. and Thomas Rock. Good to see you both. JSCO is here. JSCO will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Purple-haired Pixie Lara, nice to see you. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Continuing on, let us say hello to Rough Rider, Corey, and Phyllis Boucher Perry. Thank you for coming on in. Aloha, Dave. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Majdi. Angela Gottman, nice to have you back. Michael Fontaine, good to see you. Christine Lynn, nice to have you back. Let's continue on with our roll call. Who's on Facebook? Hiding there. Who's on Facebook? Hold on. Now I got to scroll on up. Oh, no, I just got to do this. Come on. Come on. Hi, Pauline and Pooh and Sparkles. Nice to see you. Scrolling on down, we have Digger Dog. Can't wait to see you in Reno, Nevada for our fan party. Luscious Jules. Nice to have you here. AA Ron Baca, Parasolo, S. Vermette, Pinzer, not Flactum anymore. Nice to see you. Hi, Scott Bright, or Blight, pardon me. Blue Cruz. Good to see you. And Nikki in Seattle, thank you for joining us. Scrolling on down, there's NHI. And who else is joining us here? Wild Berry, thank you for coming on in. Anybody more on Facebook? It's Indiana's own Susan Lawrence joining us tonight. Thank you for coming on in. We got a great show for you. Carl Crusher is here tonight. We're going to talk about all the high strangeness in the deserts of Nevada and Utah. Mike Rivers, thanks for coming on in. Let us get the radio side started. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking about the phenomena and chasing it down in Nevada and Utah. Carl Crusher is here with us. We are in roll call right now. Dirty Filth has just popped on in. That was that boop right there. Lex Diaz, thanks for joining us. There's Bill WD-40 currently lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You never, ever, ever want to have that rigidness that goes along with it. You know what I'm talking about, people. All right. So be kind. All right. We got like 30 seconds before we launch tonight's show. I'm excited about it. Hope you are too. And Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. Thank you for what you do for me every day. Phil the Stalker, good to have you here. Puck Elf, nice to see you. Remember, our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. We're going to have a blob sighting right off the bat here. I almost guarantee it. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and in our Space Travelers Club on Patreon. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a fantastic show for you tonight. Carl Crusher is here, hanging on out with us, talking about some high strangeness in Nevada and Utah, maybe a little skinwalkers as well. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing joins us. Jackie Harmon will have the Crypted report tonight. Carl Andreasen, also known as Carl Crusher on YouTube, is the father of 3 and a full-time researcher and explorer of the mysteries of reality. Carl grew up with strange life experiences as a child and parents who were at least open-minded enough to explore the possibilities. This led him on many camping trips into known locations of UFO sightings, Bigfoot reports, and locations of high strangeness as a growing interest. After getting his degree in social work, Carl pursued his true passion in filmmaking and photography, and he quickly became a successful online content creator on YouTube and documentary filmmaker with an audience of over 3.2 million followers. Carl has worked extensively with the team at Skinwalker Ranch and with owner Brandon Fugal, leading to an appearance on the History Channel series Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, Season 1, Episode 2 at Mount Wilson Ranch, and again on Season 2 in 2024. Oh, man, I love this guy. He's one of the good ones in this field. Carl Crusher, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How have you been?
I've been doing well, Dave. I appreciate you having me back on. It's good to be here.
You know what I love about you, man? Every time I ask, you're like, yeah, let's do this. We got to do this. You're literally, and I've talked to a lot of people, Carl, a lot of people, as you know. I know you're a fan of this show, but and I mean this from the heart. You're one of the good guys in this field. You're not into drama. You're not into trying to one-up somebody. You're just there to create content of the high strangeness and investigate it with as much professionalism and candor as you can. And I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate that about you, my man.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I think that something changed for me when I realized I was more interested, instead of trying to tell people what I think I know, I like to surround myself with people who are asking really good questions and looking for answers. And as soon as I kind of jumped into that realized I was interested in all these things and wanted to try and explore them, then it all became fun and opened up to me. So yeah, you're one of the good guys too, Dave. I appreciate you.
Oh, that's bought and paid for, people, just so you know. That's bought and paid for. Carl says he's going to get me 10 more subscribers on our YouTube channel if I complimented him.
I'll pay up right after we're done.
A whole 10. I know what my numbers are. You are one of the real interesting people in this field, because you know what it's like and you know what it takes to be successful on social media, which so many of us are striving for, but every now and again we seem to not be able to figure it out. And you've been able to combine it with a lot of professionalism within the community by showing where the evidence leads you. Your YouTube channel, which has over 3.2 million subscribers, literally has gone from doing things like how many Orbeez could we put on in a pool or on the ground and to cover things up, to literally going to look for skinwalkers and UFOs. How did your audience like that transition from more of that family channel into something a little bit more serious?
Honestly, I kind of disappeared and fell out of the algorithm. It's been something that I've had to email back and forth and struggle with the technical support with YouTube for quite a while. And they just constantly encourage me to go back to making content where I'm just like driving RC cars and doing crazy stuff for commercial America. So they wanted me to sell products and video games and all that kind of stuff. And so when I got away from that, when my father passed away and I went through a divorce and a whole lot of things all at the same time, and found myself going out into these spots in southern Utah, like sort of as my own version of therapy as well as going to therapy. And I was going out to these like ancient indigenous sites and all that. And those experiences not only helped me get through what I was going through in my life, but it put me on this whole path and also answered a lot of questions from experiences that I grew up with as a child that I had really suppressed and not been able to ever deal with until this time. But it's been a really amazing adventure to go on, and the whole area around here has, I feel like, opened up to me and the research, and I've been able to find the right people and friends along the way. And now it's getting really interesting where we're not just going and telling ghost stories and doing ghost hunting. We're actually doing real legitimate scientists with engineers and physicists, and collecting data that we're working on live streaming as it happens, and multiple layers of this to where we're finally getting down to the point where it's not just like imagination and stories, but we're getting real proof of what's going on in some of these spots.
We're going to get into a lot of that proof after the break at the bottom of the hour. I want our audience to learn a little bit more about you. How have you changed in your own attitude from going from that, like you said, that YouTube commercial aspect where they want you to do things that are really mind numbing, to getting back to pushing people to think about what could be the possibilities of these mysteries out there? I mean, you have totally changed and revamped who you are and what you are. It's like a rebirth, if we could use that term. How has that been for you? How have you enjoyed it? What have you changed?
It's been well, in the spiritual work they would call it the long dark night of the soul. So in some ways it's been like a beautiful experience, like coming out of a cocoon and like finding out who I really am and some of my true potential and purpose in this life. But at the other point, it's been really painful because when I sort of woke up to the changes that I need to make and what I needed to do, I was 400 pounds and now I'm like 225. And so I lost like 175 pounds, and that was a huge struggle. When I realized what was going on in my life and what I needed to do, I was still like a member of the Mormon church, and high up in that on the high council and doing a lot of things. And so I had to like basically unravel a whole life that I had baked together for myself like a cake. And I had to come out of all of that as well. And so while it's been like an amazing journey and I feel like I found a lot of answers, it took a lot of crawling on my hands and knees and going through a lot of painful things to get there. But where I'm at now, I feel like it's totally worth it because I feel more at home and clear in what
Right.
I'm doing.
Going on this personal adventure that you have, and you've been very successful with it, and I think it needs to be applauded for. Do you like yourself better now? Do you like who you are, what you become, and what you're standing for in regards to trying to solve some of these earthly mysteries?
Yeah, I think I just feel like I understand who I am. I don't even think I saw myself. I was following kind of a mantra of forget yourself and go to work that was taught to me growing up in the belief system that I had. And so I really adopted that and lived by that and believed it to serve other people was like to serve God and all those things. And not to get into religion, I'm just trying to help you understand my mindset and where I was coming from. So when I finally was actually to see like myself in the universe and where I was, it was like my whole body celebrated, my whole every cell in me rejoiced and was like finally home and knew where I was and I could finally begin. And that didn't happen for like until like about 8 years ago, So it took me my whole life going through all that. And now definitely so much like happier and free, way
Mhm.
much more understanding of my own consciousness and mental space, and especially dealing with the phenomenon and stuff the unexplained things that were occurring throughout my life suddenly started to click and make sense like a big puzzle piece.
I was just gonna ask you that in regards to the phenomena, how has the phenomena reacted to the changes that you have made? Because the phenomena is finicky at the best of times, a pain in the butt at the worst of times, and you never know what you're gonna get on a daily basis. So, how has the phenomena changed since you changed?
It's been transformative for me too. I've realized along this path that a lot of the experiences that I had throughout my life that were scary or terrifying to me or that I would normally suppress now are more exciting to me. Like it's time to go and it's more like an adventure for me. And
Mm.
it's something that I'm actively exploring, doing work in meditation, remote viewing, like the gateway method and all that kind of stuff to try and more like take control of my relationship with the phenomena rather than just letting it happen to me at random. So I'm kind of like tried to master that whole space uh inside and outside of me, and when the phenomena occurs I feel way more understanding of what's going on and have a better relationship with it now.
It is something that, for people who don't understand the phenomena, which is, in my opinion, the phenomena is godly. It might even be from God. I haven't figured that part out yet. But I mean, the phenomena is like your best friend and your worst uncle that teases you at the same time. And, in order to try and adapt to it and figure it out, the phenomena always seems to throw these little wrenches in your way in order to see how you're going to adapt and overcome these obstacles. I mean, you've had a lot of obstacles to overcome with it, but have you noticed the more you overcome, the more positive you've become in regards to the experiences?
Yeah, the way I've come to understand that is more like if you're in the flow state, in the actual current and the purpose of your life and what you're supposed to be doing, that goes a lot more smoothly, like you're in the middle of the deep current of the river. And when you get off track from that and you start getting hung up and worried about like, oh, I gotta do this and all these other things that are off, like side quests where you get worried on all this stuff that doesn't matter. That's like
Mhm.
you're over towards the shore and start bouncing off the rocks and running into trouble and going over little waterfalls and getting hung up on things because you're not going with the flow as much as what you're supposed to. And it's not that you're supposed to be like following some external destiny. It's more about knowing who you are, like, and having a good relationship with yourself. And when you get at odds with yourself, I think it's more like you're going through those rough waters and you kind of put yourself there. So it's the same with the phenomena. I feel like when I'm kind of ignoring it and not following along with like if I'm not out exploring the mysteries of the ancient petroglyphs in the locations around me at this point, it's almost like a rubber band starts to build this pressure to where a response is going to occur. And then if I let it go on and on and on, pretty soon I'm like, having recurring invasive dreams. My house feels like it's going to get haunted. And it's kind of like this whole quantum entangled thing builds up a pressure like a capacitor to where finally I'm like, okay, I got to go do this and I need to go. There's something that I'm like not going out and doing and I don't know what it is. But then as soon as yeah, like you said, as soon as you kind of respond to that with good intentions, then it's like you're back in the flow state. It becomes less like a trickster and more like the fates are in your favor. Yeah.
I would fully agree. I couldn't have put it better myself, Carl. As we continue on here, as you have went down this path, and it's a fun path to go down for the most part. Have you ever had those situations with the phenomena where all of a sudden you hear that voice in your head, head to the basin or head to Nevada, or look up in the
Yeah.
sky or whatever, and you look up or when you get there, things are happening, things are hopping.
Yeah. So I can give you a very real experience that's firsthand and we actually collect the data. So, like, I'm working with my partner, Dr. Jim Segala. So he worked at Skinwalker Ranch and was on the TV show for like the first 3 seasons of the show. And then he started doing a side research project where he has these sensors and devices that you can plug in your home, and he even has some mobile ones that you can take around. But he developed these and did a whole beta test where basically, let's say you have an experience where you wake up at night, you feel like you had some kind of a paranormal encounter or an abduction experience. This sensor that you have plugged into your home can detect like highly sensitive levels of gamma fluctuations, microwave radiation, GPS, all kinds of axis movements, the satellite signals, everything. It can measure the entire environment, even the atmospheric pressure, like infrasound. So if you have an experience like that, you can wake up, sort of log it in a journal or write it in your journal, and then go check the device to see if the sensor actually caught something. And so, for example, like one of the experiences that I had as soon as we started this study with the sensor in my house, this modular device, I had the sensor out in my office, in my other office where I play computer games, and I have had it set up in there. And I got this message on my phone from a colleague of mine that had this video about these petroglyphs having to do with this ancient time travel ritual under Emperor Yu of the Shang dynasty, and how some of the petroglyphs here in southern Utah and into Nevada actually match the glyphs of these ancient Shang dynasty map makers that traveled the world like 10,000 years ago. And we're finding some of these things matching. And right as I'm watching this video that she sent me, I had this whole sort of like visionary download experience where I saw and remembered all these different petroglyph places that I've been and all these different symbols, almost like a thread connecting like all these dots through, um, lining up. And it was like I remembered all these places that I went, and it was this confirming experience like, this is true, this is real. And it was kind of like I was being shown something. And when I realized like what was going on, I was standing all of a sudden in a different part of the house looking out the window, and my phone was turned off, and like 30 minutes had gone by. So I thought, okay, this was strange. I just had like an experience. So then I can actually go log into the website where this sensor is recording data. And as I'm logging in, Dr. Segala messages me on my phone and says, wow, you just had a big spike in gamma radiation. Did you have an experience? And before I even check the data, he gets an alert and sees that I've had an experience through the sensor before I even
Okay.
logged it in.
I got to call time out there. So here you are rigged up, or your house is rigged up
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
You're using yourself as the scientific experiment.
Yeah, open sourcing it through my Patreon page. So basically, anytime I have an experience and I log that in, we can line that up to see if there was a big spike in gamma radiation or microwave radiation at the exact same time. And I'm even doing video logs and then uploading that, and then doing it like a home study. And then the place that you mentioned earlier, Mount Wilson Ranch, which was like the secret second Skinwalker Ranch in Nevada that was going on simultaneously that Bigelow kept secret. We have a sensor up there right now collecting data as well. And so we're trying to do the same thing, actually capture scientific data that we can prove the phenomena isn't imaginary and it's not coming from inside your head. It's actually a type of energy or phenomena that's entering your home, reaching a significant level, and then somehow triggering these experiences that are happening.
As an experiencer growing up that you kind of curdled due to religion and family belief and everything, and now being a citizen scientist looking into what the phenomena is, how do you separate the two? For a lot of experiencers, myself included, we are so emotionally involved with what has happened to us, we cannot comprehend the stone cold science of the phenomena or what it is or what it could be. We're too reckless with our thoughts because of the experiences we've had. We're defensive about it almost to a point. How do you divide the two?
It's hard. I had to drop a lot of that. I realized that even my interactions with the phenomena itself were coming with certain prejudices that I was taking into it. And so, I mean, that's a big word, but like preconceived ideas, or in remote viewing, they would call it analytical overlay. Basically, like I have these assumptions that are already like my default mode.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I take into that those experiences, and the best way that I've learned to deal with it is just to be honest about it and just be open about it. So, like, for example, if I have one of those types of epiphany, download, paranormal experiences where I sort of like zone out and go into an intense daydream that I can't seem to stop, and then it comes back and it has significance and memories of things that I forgot and all this deja vu tied in. Like, let's say if in there my dad shows up who died, like I have to assume before I just say, oh, my dad was there and it was really him and his spirit came to me. I'm able to kind of step back and stay inquisitive and say how much of my own grief and loss, missing him, sort of paints the picture, or how much of it, feeds the energy and sort of interfaces and bleeds into the experience that I'm adding to this as well. Or is there something real to that? And that's where it gets kind of fun to me, rather than being like, I already know the answer. There is an afterlife, and I know that there's a spirit world. I'm still curious about that edge of like, how could we, if there is one, instead of saying I know, let's keep asking the questions. How can we know? And how can we see? How can I develop the ability to see or communicate? And how can I do that without being afraid and being safe? And when I start going it down that path, then I feel more empowered instead of, confused about what to do with it. And so I can just take it one step at a time. And that's led me down the path of like dealing with both at the same time, where I'm doing like meditation and what you would consider like esoteric spiritual work to handle it, but at the same time talking to scientists, checking myself and my awareness against, like, I went to college and have a degree in social work, so I'm aware of mental health and how that can affect things and propel situations. And so, I kind of like that broad spectrum, and have
Mhm.
kind of like a broad toolkit that I lean on, and especially my friends. Yeah.
Carl, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Carl Crusher is here. You can follow his YouTube channel, become one of his 3.2 million followers on YouTube. I highly recommend you do. We're discovering the phenomena in Nevada and the Uinta Basin tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into that research next on the Mighty SOR right after this break. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, we are clear. Good start. Fun start.
Yes, going so well. I'm looking at this painting and a drawing here is so cool.
Yes, and Blob the cat, who
Bob the
is
cat.
Blob the cat, who is very, very critical of Dirty Filth's work.
Yeah, she's the art director.
Closing portals. I see that. The
Yes,
UFO.
I have
The
I have an
wheel
older
world.
one that I had done. So it's the remix. This one's all
Nice.
sun bleached and terribly mangled, so I have to make a new one.
That's cool. I love
I use
the
it-
portal.
Well, you'll see when it ends up. Trust me, it'll turn out good. It always does.
Nice. man.
Brandon Fugal's actually a huge fan of Dirty Filth. Huge fan. And how many books has he bought to give away as gifts?
He bought a couple books, and he's got probably like a small. He's probably got like a small enclave. He's probably goes and pulls a book, and the book opens, and it turns a secret door, and it goes in. And he's got like a little like pile of original Dirty Filth artwork.
Yeah.
Anyways.
He's amazing. He's amazing. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, Brandon's cool.
Yeah, I'd
People
love
are
to meet
saying that the chat feed's all disrupted.
I don't
noticed
see it.
that. I know they're saying they're having a looping chat. That's common. When I'm a guest on the show, people have all kinds of weird issues. I don't know why.
That is weird. My chat just took off. I'm looking at the chat on my YouTube channel,
Yeah,
and it just started scrolling at about 50 miles an hour.
that's what I'm saying. Everybody's mentioning that in the chat, like something's
Weird.
glitched. Yeah,
What's
sometimes the audio or the video goes strange, and it's like right when we start talking about this quantum entanglement stuff, it's like we all collapse the waveform and it messes up the system or something. I don't know.
I love it when stuff happens. You know what I had a couple of weeks ago is I actually see this picture behind me, right where my thumb is.
Yeah.
I had a white orb race right through and right beside me here. The audience was members of the audience were actually able to catch it as well. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, are you serious right now?
Do you know the history, the ancient history around your place where your
Dude.
house is? Is there some native stuff there?
Huge native stuff. My town is built on a dead volcano. Okay,
Oh.
we have like 20-minute drive southeast of me. We actually have our own butte, like Devil's Tower.
Wow.
It's not as big, nowhere close to size, but we have a butte here. And you go out in the forest where all the Bigfoot and everything are, it like you'll see massive like 10, 12 ton boulders of pumice rock, right? It's amazing.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. And plus you add like right behind me, if I had a window here, you would actually about 3/4 of a mile behind me is the original Gold Rush Trail, which is completely haunted, dude.
Yeah.
You want to shoot some awesome stuff, do the Gold Rush Trail.
Dude, we ought to get you one of these modular sensors so that you can start tracking stuff like that. Because let's say you're sitting there filming one of these shows, and imagine everybody sees one of those orbs or a blob float around behind you. You could log on live and see if the device caught like a spike in gamma. And you can't fake that. It's not like you can project a gamma radiation from outer space into the device from your mind. Like that's something coming from outside your environment.
See this note?
Yeah.
That was one of my listeners who passed away. He lived in the Netherlands, and he chose to have doctor assisted and a life-ending procedure because he was so ill. And that note was straight. And I said to him, I tucked it in between the guitar strings, and I said to him, I said, when you're on the other side and you're ready to come say hello, I said, take this note, because he was watching on camera. I said, take this note and turn it. And one night during the show, while we were live, the note turned.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Be cool. We got 27 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone for our lone super chat tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. Hi, Bobbert. And who else is joining us late here? Asimov, nice to see you. And Sycophia, thanks for coming on in. Who else is here that came in late here? I guess. Oh, Guy Calgary, nice to see you. And Mennonite Abe, thanks for coming on in. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to say that all of our archives are free. You can always join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go with Carl Crusher. We're getting into the high strangeness that he is looking into these days between the mountains of Utah and the mountains of Nevada. There's strange things in them there hills, and we're going to find out what is going on. Carl, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let's start off in Utah because you've worked closely at Skinwalker Ranch. You have worked Mount Wilson and the entire Uinta Basin. And we want to give a shout out to everybody listening in on our radio station in Vernal, Utah at channel 94X. Hi, Charlie and the team. Good to see you. And thank you for broadcasting our show. For the people out there who know what the high strangeness is, compared to all of us who are way out in the wilderness of the rest of the continent here and maybe the planet, what makes the Uinta Basin so special?
To me, I think that it was because of the ancient Lake Bonneville. There was a waterway that came up from the coast of California all the way up through Nevada, through Arizona, all the way up into Utah. Right where Skinwalker Ranch is, and a lot of these places used to be like giant fjords and marshland. And that meant that for tens of thousands of years, we often think of, like, when we think of ancient esoteric locations, we think of places like Egypt or Machu Picchu or something, Teotihuacan or something like that. We think of these giant pyramid locations, and we kind of forget some of the really ancient, like, trade routes and global trade routes that were going on at the same time as all the pyramids, and maybe even before the pyramids were built. Like some of the petroglyphs that we find across southern Utah and into Nevada, think of, like, for people who believe in the Bible, go back to the time of when Moses left Egypt and then go 6,000 years before that. And that's how old some of these carvings are in Utah. And so we're talking like a time when, we're just taught in public school around here, like there was just, they say there's Indians, there was Native Americans here, and then white people moved across and went west, and then they all went on reservations, and now the Native Americans are gone, but we don't really think 10,000 years ago. So in these areas, like around Skinwalker Ranch and where these sites are, there has been thousands of years of sacred rituals. And when you look into what these rituals and ceremonies were, they're all this alignments of stones and alignments of sacred canyons and geology to interface with the ley lines and with the, like, cosmic alignments to do with Orion in the sky, and even like Ursa Major and Minor and the rotation around the North Star. And you realize they had this elaborate system of not only navigation, but ceremony and sacrifice and consciousness and all that, and if there's any truth to the fact that that can be contained in an environment or sort of stored as a resonant energy in a place, then places like Skinwalker Ranch and north up into those canyons and around here are thick with thousands of years of this quantum entangled ceremonial culture. And the rituals all had to do with time travel and shaping the future to save the future from calamity and all kinds of things like that, all the way up to the ghost dances of Wovoka and the Lakota tribes that went all the way across Nevada and Utah and into the all these states around here. And so there's these same kinds of going around stone circles in this kind of a shuffle step as a tribe with the shaman in the center that went on for thousands and thousands of years. And then imagine we move in these areas, build a neighborhood over top of it, and wonder why when you try to meditate or go out on your back porch and look up at Orion and the North Star and things like that, why you have experiences. We wonder why that's happening. And I think it's because we're literally walking in the same ways and stepping in the same places and putting ourselves in the same sort of attunement to these things that have been done there for thousands of years, sometimes good and sometimes bad. And when we do that, it takes our signal, our default mode of whatever we're used to experiencing in day-to-day life, and sort of tweaks that to where suddenly we're perceiving these alternate realms of reality, to where normally what is a linear timeline day to day, and this is just your physical reality, suddenly you perceive the signals right next door and you start to see and experience other dimensions, or those other timelines start to notice you and interact with you as well. And I think that there are locations that are kind of X points or stronger, to where they act as sort of like a capacitor to that propels you into those experiences and opens you up to them. And some people don't handle it very well, as well as others.
I do have to ask you about the time travel aspect, because I've never heard that within First Nations. I've heard connection to the star beings and the star people. I have heard, connections to Mother Earth and the universe and the sun, but I never heard about time travel before. Can you
Yeah.
go into detail about that?
Yeah. So if you go back, clear back to like Emperor Yu in the Shang dynasty, they had this ceremony and ritual that he was supposed to be like a deity, this godlike entity, like a star person or whatever, that was doing this. And what they would do was like this ritual that was like the shuffle step around a stone circle, and they would do it as a clan or a tribe, or even sit in a circle and meditate together. And they would do it in alignment with the north, south, east, and west. And that had to do with like, we're going to emulate what the whole universe and what the planet is doing. So if you look up at the sky, you have the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper rotating around the North Star like this continual, never ending spiral. And they would emulate this all over the world in mandalas and everything. And they would show literally the symbol of a bird or even a goose going around the outside to emulate the goose step. And Emperor Yu would do the pace of Yu, and they called it the Yubu, which in ancient Chinese, that means the goose step. So they would shuffle step around this circle, and then Emperor Yu would stand in the middle, and he would look at the North Star or at Orion's belt and basically sing or do a certain chant. And the legends are that he would time travel, that he would disappear or go into the future like a ghost and come out of these other spiritual doorways. And the whole thing was that all of these future calamities that were supposed to happen on the earth, where people would get destroyed or there would be floods and things, he was going through these time portals into the future to try and stop those. And he was doing it like a ghost or like a spirit, and picking and choosing people through the future to influence, to help humanity. And this tradition is exactly the same as the ghost dance in Nevada of Wovoka and the Paiute that came out of nowhere. Like they basically started doing, putting feathers, headdresses on and dancing in the shuffle step in the circle. And Wovoka would stand in the middle and they'd swear that he could, basically call upon the deities and the gods of nature and control the weather. And he would disappear and go as a ghost into the future and all this stuff. And those rituals were being done all over this whole region, like an entire movement, and goes clear back to ancient Shang dynasty 10,000 years ago. Like there's something real to it, and they believed it. And all these petroglyphs of the squatter man emulates Orion in the sky with his bent knee and the staff or the bow. And they all had the same belief system all over the place where this was being done. And so, yeah, this idea all had to do with the rotation of the earth and the universe, and then unifying as a group and as a clan and a tribe around the shaman to do this thing. And he would basically propel his consciousness into the future to try and save the world.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And that's all told in the stories of the petroglyphs.
Yeah, it's basically, we're just now kind of figuring this out. I'm working with a specialist called V Duo. She's a Chinese linguist, a Chinese American living in California. She started watching my YouTube videos about a year ago and noticing and recognizing some of the glyphs around here. And we just through a path of synchronicities realized that the ancient beliefs and customs from the Indus Valley of the Tibetan monks in what before China was even China, the same rituals that they were doing there, the same ones that you find in the Hopi, the Navajo, and the Paiute all across the desert Southwest today.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. How did the legend then of skinwalkers happen?
That's kind of, there's two different aspects to that. So there's one side of it that comes straight out of the Navajo, which is a type of a ritual or ceremony that's done in order to become like a shapeshifter. And so they believe that like a shaman or a member of the tribe or clan could do certain rituals or ceremonies to get sort of initiated to become a skinwalker. And typically that's seen in the Navajo tradition as a negative thing, but there's also positive versions as well, where you like become a hawk or a coyote or a wolf in order to go hunting or to look for water or food and things like that. But also is used like to guard a land or to ward off evil. So like the occupiers of that land might perceive that as a curse or something like an evil entity or a demon protecting the place. But that's usually like a guardian of the place, and maybe they're just not supposed to be there, kind of a thing. But there's the other flip side of it is that when the Brigham Young brought the Mormon pioneers from Nauvoo, Illinois into the Salt Lake Valley, they had a partnership with a chief Wakara, who was the chief of the Ute tribe. And Chief Wakara and his men would cover themselves with coyote pelts and wolf skins and go down and kidnap Navajo kids and sell them to the Mormons back in Salt Lake, like a human trafficking type situation thing. And Chief Wakara, nobody could say his name right the way it's traditionally pronounced. And so he became Chief Walker. So this legend of a Native American chief who would transform into a wolf and back and could come and kidnap you in the night was something that also came out of that era of a Chief Walker. It became the Skinwalker and the Wolf Man. So there's like some of that in the culture too. But all of that has been sort of mixed in with the Native American phenomena and the name that was basically applied to the ranch. I know when Bigelow bought the place back in 1996, when he bought the ranch, they didn't even call it that. And when Chris Bartell and those guys all worked there for 8 years, they never called it Skinwalker Ranch. It didn't get that name until it became a History Channel show, and they kind of picked it.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. We just had Chris Bartell on the show a couple of weeks ago, and what an amazing guy he is as well. To try and go in there and make things happen along with you guys. When you guys go onto a location like this, you obviously have what your targets are. You know what you're looking for. Take us through a setup of a location and what you're looking for.
Yeah. So let's say if I'm going to like Mount Wilson Ranch, if we're going to try and go up and investigate like a pocket cave that has some artifacts in it, what we would do is as a group, me specifically, I would take in my personal kit. I would take like a radiation detector, an EMF detector, some like scientific gear that I could go up there to check to see if there's anything that could be causing effects coming out of that cave. I know that, because there's been so many like nuclear tests and bombing and chemical
Mm.
tests around in Nevada, you have to always check for that and you know rule that out before you just assume that things are paranormal. So I take the gear to make sure and double check all of that, as well as like metal detectors, depending on what we're going to for a target. And then the whole hike up, looking for artifacts, looking for clues, looking for any materials or geological stuff on the ground, trying to see if we can match it up with what we've already found. And then at
Mhm.
the same time, while we're hiking, we're also paying attention and talking to each other because a lot of times we have these phenomena that's like coincidences. Like I'll be hiking with Jeff. This just happened last time I was up there, and we both like stop walking and get kind of a funny feeling. And he just goes, "Whoa, one of us is going to feel something." And we've just trained ourselves to say that out loud instead of keep it to yourself. Say it out loud. So we say those little intuitions out loud. And then usually like 5 or 6 steps later, there's like an arrowhead laying on the ground or a piece of some airplane part or some old Pioneer equipment or something. And it's like another clue that doesn't make sense at the moment, but usually ends up making sense to the story and what a clue later on that we put together. Then when we get up to the cave, I'm doing meditation in there. I'm trying to sort of remote view to pick up any kind of telepathic communication. Of course, that's all subjective. So we try to measure that. If I have one of my PhD friends with me, we'll actually hook up an EEG, like a brainwave scanner, to my head, and we'll do the meditations while we record my brainwaves to see if I'm convinced I'm talking to someone that's not there and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. So we always try to do both at once, try to do the paranormal, the try to communicate with it, and then also capture the data. And that's scalable from either me just having my backpack of equipment and going alone, all the way up to full blown teams with, highly sensitive equipment, drones, ground penetrating radar, and everything. And we just do it at a lot bigger scale with the whole group.
Wow. During any of these encounters that you've had, or these expeditions, pardon me, that you've had, have you had encounters with paranormal or supernatural creatures?
Creatures, like physical creatures. Yeah. I think the first one that I had was probably one of the most jarring. Ooh, this uh, it depends on how far back we want to go. And in my childhood, I have straight up like abduction experiences, and I've had
Mm.
sleep paralysis experiences and things. But I would say, like as an adult, trying to be a filmmaker and encountering things was probably 12 years ago, in California, when I was under the impression that I was in an area looking for Bigfoot, and then had a whole terrifying experience with this large, like, shadow creature in the forest that was moving around and moved away from us. And then it even left footprints in the dirt like a Sasquatch, like these big footprints. But the whole encounter with it was like this giant, uh, yeah, like this big shadow creature that was moving through the trees and moving the limbs around and making all this noise, but moving like a ghost and stuff. And I was afraid to go in the forest for like a whole year after that. And when I came back home and was trying to tell my family, they all looked at me like I was insane. But the whole crew was up there. Everybody experienced it. Uh, that was one that like I saw clearly what looked like a head and shoulders, saw this whole big dark mass move through the trees, cross the road, go into the bushes, heard it, saw it, the whole thing, that was the one that really jarred me. Since then, I've definitely had experiences where I see what looks like a figure walking up to me from the corner of my eye. And then right when I go to turn and look at it, it's like I'm propelled into like a vision or like a whole uh, download experience where instead of seeing a person, it's like I have a dream like put into my mind and I see this whole experience happen. Things like that. Yeah. Kind of strange.
Wow. So you've never had a cryptid or a skinwalker try and sneak up on you guys while you're working?
No, when I went to Skinwalker Ranch the very first time, I totally had a sighting of a thing. I was parked on the south side of the ranch by myself with the truck. There's this one road that you can park on the corner where you're not going to get arrested by the reservation cops or the Skinwalker security guys. So I parked there, and I had an experience where I turned around and I saw what I thought was a cow, and there is cows in that field out there. And I thought what I saw was a cow, this dark thing moving along the barbed wire fence. And then it stopped and it turned, and it's like it crouched down and just turned into this like dark shape on the other side of the barbed wire fence there. And then I was like, what is that? I got to get my flashlight. And so when I went to look at my backpack to get my flashlight out, I couldn't find anything in my backpack. It's like I got totally confused. Like my brain wasn't working right. So I would look in there. I started looking for my night vision camera, couldn't find it. It's like I had left everything back in the apartment that I was staying in. So I was like, where's all my stuff? I can't believe that I came out here to do this and I forgot all my gear. Like, how did I not pack my stuff? I swear I put it in here. So I'm like, whatever. So I just grabbed this little black light that I had on the tailgate of my truck, like one of those purple lights, and I started walking up there, and it's not that far away from me. And as I get closer and closer to this dark thing that I watched walk up and crouch down, I get closer and closer. There's just nothing there. It's like nothing there at all. And then I got super confused, like in my mind, like I was tripping, like literally like something was messing with my head. So I went back to my backpack and put my stuff together. I was like, this is stupid. I can't even film anything or do anything. So I drove back to the place I was staying, had bizarre dreams all night. Like my mind was racing 100 miles an hour with like 1,000 questions. What are you doing here? What is this? It was like my mind could not rest. And that went on for 3 days. Like I was stressed out in my head for 3 days, emotionally and everything. But the next morning when I woke up, all my stuff was in my backpack. My night vision, my flashlight, and everything. And then when I even watched the video back, I had a headlamp strapped to my forehead the whole time. And it's like I forgot it was there, never turned it on. I was just confused, like I left all my stuff at home, but it was in the backpack. I don't know why I couldn't find it. It was like something scrambled my brains for a minute. I don't know. But I did totally see this dark thing move along the fence and crouch down. And then when I walked up to it, it was just not there. There was just nothing there.
Nothing creepy about that, Carl. Nothing creepy about that. You're lucky that you didn't take home some sort of attractant to you, like a ghost or a spirit clinging to your energy, man. I mean, you're lucky. Carl, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Carl Crusher is here. The mysteries of the Uinta Basin and the mountains of Nevada. The phenomena exists, everybody. And Carl's the guy who's out searching for it on a daily basis. This is Spaced Out Radio. Hour number 2 is next, and we're going to have a lot of fun with Carl Crusher coming on Spaced Out Radio. We'll even take some audience questions as well. It's going to be a good one. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is
Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. And Dirty Phil, through you around. Let's see if he'll unmute himself. Carl, we got about 5.5 minutes.
Nice.
If you want to take a quick break, grab some water or something.
I feel good. Got
All
my
right.
coffee here. I'll just hang tight in the
Nice.
cockpit.
I will be right back. Dirty Phil, take it away, buddy.
Taking it away, Dave. I don't have any tea left, so kind of grumpy pants about that. That's all right. I'll be okay. Well, that's the drawing for tonight. I had to do the remix.
Looks awesome, man.
Thanks. Here's one.
So
that
what inspires you to draw the portals that way? I'm just curious. Are you an experiencer?
I think I've seen the same ghost twice and had some strange experiences, but nothing fancy or on a regular basis that I can remember.
There's that symbol of the portal that you drew is a very common petroglyph symbol that I see everywhere that I go.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I figured it would be kind of jagged.
a lot of
Everyone kind
them.
portrays portals as this organic blob that kind of appears and it's liquid. I always felt it was maybe some of the old science fiction stuff, but like that rip or tear that comes through. It's got the sharp edges.
So when I was 11, 12 years old at the sleepover at my friend's house, we were down in the basement in sleeping bags watching this big screen TV that he had down there. And it wasn't like we fell asleep. It was like he fell asleep and I realized it and I was still talking, one of those things, And then it was like I started to fall asleep. And then all of a sudden it was like this wind was rushing over top of me. And I opened my eyes and looked over, and my friend, he was sitting straight upright in his sleeping bag, and his mouth and eyes were open like he was trying to scream and yell, but no sound was coming out. And down the hallway past us was like this whole spiral going down, and it literally looked like a uncoiled slinky or like a water slide going down where the hallway and the bedrooms were supposed to be. And it definitely wasn't like liquid. It was like reality was torn into just like a smoke of energy, and it was totally jagged and then it went down into this smooth just black hole that went down like a pipe. And then there was these three like entities, two smaller ones and a taller one behind it, and the two of them were trying to grab our legs. And then next thing I know, it was like bang, and we were I was upstairs staring up at this weird piece of wood with metal on it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I realized I was somehow underneath the kitchen table, looking up at the bottom of the kitchen table, and I had no idea how I got upstairs. And I looked over, and my friend was next to me, and he was looking up too and wide awake, and immediately started crying. And we ran out the back door of the house all freaked out, and we both remembered the whole thing. Like, but the way that you draw that portal is cool.
It's just a jagged thing. And also you said underneath the table, you're looking up underneath.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me, but I've always thought, what better place to put a portal than underneath a table? You could look at people never look to the underside of the table,
right?
But they peek under, they don't see anybody. But did you look at the bottom side of it, where all the portable holes are hidden usually?
Totally.
That's that's interesting.
That'd be a sneaky one. Yeah, it was weird. It confused me for a minute. Waking up, I did not know where I was. I thought I was like in the garage or something. I was like, where am I? I looked around, like totally confused.
Have you ever slept walk or anything like that?
I did, but it was always weird. It wasn't like like my family never experienced me sleepwalking. I would just like wake up and after like a weird dream and I'd be like out on my balcony or something like that. Yeah. So, or like I had a weird, like a bedwetting thing for a minute. And I realized now looking back on it, I was totally getting up, going in, walking down the hall, standing in the bathroom and trying to go in the toilet. And then halfway into it, realize I had basically left my body and didn't take my body with me and did
Oh,
all that sort of in a dream out of body. And then I would like wet the bed and then wake up and be like, what? And some of that now has helped me learn astral projection, remote viewing, all that stuff, like going back to those childhood things. Yeah.
guys, I'm going to get you to hold on right there as I want to say a big thank you to Mama Catherine and T-Bone ×2 for the great super chats tonight. I very much appreciate the love and support, everybody. It's a great way to support what we do. Another way to support Spaced Out Radio is to head on over to our website, spacedoutradio.com. Do some shopping. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear ours out in public and be proud of it. That's the way we like it around here. So go have some fun and do some shopping today. And don't forget, you can join our Space Travelers Club on Patreon. We'd greatly appreciate the love and support there. We're going to get going with hour number 2 right now. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, the man with the most tinfoil wrapped around on a daily basis. I want to say hello to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And tonight, what is that answer? Habromania. Habromania is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Carl Crusher is with us tonight talking about the high strangeness of the Uinta Basin and the mountains of Nevada. We talked a lot about Skinwalker Ranch and in the area right around there, but you're also investigating around the mountains of Nevada. Strangeness from compasses not working, strangeness of cameras and batteries dying for no reason. You know, there's a lot of weird things going on in the mountains of Nevada. Carl, what's going on?
We're trying to get to the bottom of it, metaphorically and literally. We're trying to figure out the history of what really went on there, and it's very complicated and deep, a deep rabbit hole. And we're also trying to dig underground to find out what's actually there and get into a tunnel system. So like to give like a quick recap, because it's a lot, it's hard to cover in a short amount of time. But simultaneously at the same time, in fact, 2 weeks before buying Skinwalker Ranch, they bought this ranch and property in Nevada called Mount Wilson Ranch. And Bigelow is the one that sort of put that in the books and started the Mount Wilson Ranch Corporation. And that's all in the papers. And he had a whole cast of investigators and researchers up there, from Jacques Vallée, Colm Kelleher, Dr. Tim Ryan, who was heavily funded from DARPA and the Army and the Navy and everything to be up there. He's a scientist. Hal Puthoff was there. He was the founder and former of the remote viewing program at Stanford Research Institute, the psychic spy program that the Army developed during the Cold War. And they were all, a whole group of these people, up at Mount Wilson Ranch before and during the exact same time they were doing all the stuff at Skinwalker Ranch. But for some reason, They kept this place secret. And when we dig into the history and go even deeper, we find that before Bigelow was interesting people that had close connections as best friends with Howard Hughes at the same time that Howard Hughes was secretly getting government contracts through Richard Nixon at the very early development days of the Star Wars program before Ronald Reagan gave it that name. And so the MX missile program was up there, Howard Hughes was up there, and all sorts of weird stuff going clear back and then into the mining era of the early 1900s. And from the initial white settlers up there to the first owner on paper, it's been nothing but mysterious historical records that involve huge mining operations, underground like archaeological digs, all this sorts of strange scientists and teams going up there with no record of what they were doing, and the evidence of there being tunnels and equipment and all kinds of stuff going on underground at that ranch is all there, going from the 1930s all the way up, even before Roswell and before Area 51 was even a thing. There was government people at Mount Wilson doing stuff. And even before that, we find these ancient like artifacts, spearheads, arrowheads, uh, Native American dwelling sites involving the Paiute and the Goshen and the Shoshone tribes, and even more ancient stuff, all the way up there into like stone dwellings and huts that don't even make sense, like to history. And so, what's going on up there? We're still trying to figure out what they were all doing there. Were they testing and developing equipment? Were they developing, phased array systems, non-lethal weapons technology? Was it part of MK Ultra? All of that is on the table of when you're talking about some of the people that have been up there. But at the same time, this paranormal phenomenon, the amount of UFO sightings coming and going, and these giant orbs of light going in and out of the bottom of that mountain is something that's been going on for decades up there and that the locals talk about. They have these encounters with the ghost of a Native American shaman that shows up all the time. These, again, 3 extraterrestrial beings or something, entities that show up and appear to people. And then these glitches in time, like where artifacts, a pair of boots, an old Pioneer bedpan, or a pack of cigarettes, or a piece of paper out of the phone book will just like almost manifest into the ranch. Like we'll be hiking on a trail that we've been down dozens of times, and then turn the corner, and just right on the side of the trail is an old pair of cowboy boots and a pair of pants. Or we'll go hiking up to another spot that we've been dozens of times, and there's like a part from an aircraft or a piece of paper from the phone book on the floor of the saloon, like it just fell out of thin air. And we pick up the piece of paper, and the date on the top of the page from the phone book is the same date as the day that we find it on the floor there, but it's from 1973 or something.
Weird.
Yeah, like it just comes out from the past and is laying there. Like there is literally a wrinkle in time, and stuff falls into our timeline. It's really strange. But yeah, the GPS and the technology is getting spoofed too, to where we'll fly a drone and it's completely convinced that it's flying over the Bermuda Triangle or Cuba when it's actually flying over Nevada. So there's something really strange going on underground up there.
What is your hypothesis of what is going on? Do you think it's an Earth magnetic issue? Do you think that maybe it is something a little bit more supernatural?
I think that there's 2 layers of it. I think that there's something deep underground that's always been there, and I think it's resonating some kind of a signal. There's a pulsing frequency or resonant ultra low frequency that's coming out of the lower meadow, and it seems like it's over 200 feet deep down there, and it's huge. All the data comes back that this thing is a giant triangular, like almost like a manta ray underground, that is highly ferrous. And we know this. We do magnetometer readings and everything, and we get the data back from outside professional crews, and it comes back with a ferrous signal, meaning like We know it's not an aquifer full of water. We know it's resonating and sending back a signal that's even higher than like the conductivity of gold. So it's something unusual. It's 500 feet across, it's triangular, and it's over 200 feet deep. But then on top of that is some sort of man made technology that we keep detecting as turning on and off. So I think that whatever is deeper underground has always been there. Ancient Native American people were probably going there to do rituals on top of it or next to it underground in the tunnel systems that go there. And I think that the government figured out back in the during World War II that these things are around on our planet, that there's these probes or what we would consider UFOs or something, this ancient technology that we think is extraterrestrial that's underground or in the mountains in certain places that's been sitting there resonating a signal, like almost like a probe that's been planted on the earth that's doing things. It's always been there. And I think the government had to form teams to go around and see what was there. And when they found it, you can't do anything with it. You can't move it. It's too big. It's too deep. So you study it. You try to get samples off of it. You take psychic spies up there, make sure that it's safe. And then I think that they put technology over top of it, like a big sensor, a big phased array sensor, like a ground penetrating radar sensor to tell if the thing moves or if it tries to do anything, they'll know. And so there's layers and layers of that going on. But in the middle of that is all this Cold War weapons development stuff. And so who knows if it's all Project Bluebeam technology, or what. So we're trying to peel through all those layers right now. There's a lot going on.
Wow. That's quite heavy. I mean, you're trying to find the scientific outlook for that, but you can't rule out the phenomena of having any sort of interaction with that. Now, when we think Nevada, we always think Nellis Air Force Range and Area 51. How close to those areas is this Mount Douglas?
It's right there. So Area 51, Mount Wilson was started before. It was a whole thing. You're good. The original owner, E.L. Norris, he bought the ranch in the 1930s, and then he became a state senator like a couple of years before the Roswell crash. He became a state senator for Nevada. Then the Roswell crash supposedly happened, and then Area 51 was formed and built. So Area 51 actually came after Mount Wilson. So my hypothesis is that whatever happened at Roswell was tied to what was going on at Mount Wilson, and it created Area 51 sort of as a result. And I think that that involves metamaterial getting recovered or some part of a craft or something that they're still even talking about to this day. But it's, they come out and they say it's all Roswell and it came from the sky, when I think a lot of it actually came underground from more archaeological digs from ancient sites instead of crashing spaceships. And so it's kind of like a bait and switch thing or a distraction thing. But not to say that Roswell didn't happen. I just think it's murky. I think there was more than just one thing going on at that time. But yeah, I think that it's right next to Area 51, and the connections with the Nellis Air Force Base, Area 51, the whole Nevada test site is right on the border, and always something that we have to take into account with it.
The idea that, there could have been aliens and UFOs at Area 51. There's been a lot of different sightings there over the years. Many people have stated that it's all U.S. technology that is being tested that's far more advanced than what the human eye and the human knowledge can really comprehend and understand. Do you buy into that, or do you think there is something alien in that desert?
I think I know for a fact that there's advanced technology. I think that they've hidden advanced technology and that they use UFOs and the paranormal as a cover for the development of that technology and trying to sort that out. But at the same time, I've had my same experiences. I've had my encounters and things that have occurred my entire life since I was a kid, and I've had things that tie into that with synchronicity, like even up at Mount Wilson, and even when I'm near Area 51. So I feel like there's something going on outside of just the technology and the development. But if you ask me, do I think that our government out at Area 51 could have the technology and the ability to make you think that you're seeing UFOs and be totally convinced that you were abducted, or that they could spoof all that? Yes. And do I think they could do that? Yes, I absolutely think they've had that technology for a while. But I think also, if there is the technology to be able to do that, that along that road of getting to that discovery of understanding consciousness and reality and shaping reality and all of that, I think they inevitably, in developing this radar equipment and advanced equipment, would have run into the phenomena or run into these other entities that exist there. And they're probably aware of that too. So I think it's a little bit of both.
You would think with all of the aircraft and military practices that go on and the training that goes on in those areas, that they would have had their own interactions with whatever it is that's out there. And yet the way they keep, I'm going to use the term stealing land to expand Area 51, Area 51 and the Nellis air test range, you would think that this could be a piece of area that might one day fall into government hands.
It almost has, like the entire state of Nevada, all the way around Las Vegas, all the way up through the middle, and the majority of the state is Nevada test site or Department of Energy or some aspect of that. And almost every community is just full of employees and people that work there or part of the city and the community around that, except for like Las Vegas and Reno, itself. But like the whole Nevada test site bleeds all the way up into Utah, into what you would call Area 52, the Dugway airfield, which is right across the I-15 from Provo and the Mormon church headquarters and everything. There's a whole huge test site up there in Utah out on the Salt Flats as well. And if people really understood the scale, like if you started at Nellis Air Force Base and then traced it all out and realized how big that is, it's literally the size of like all the countries in Europe combined almost. I mean, the state of Nevada all the way up into Utah is massive. You're talking a 6-hour drive to get across all of that, and you better stop for gas or you might run out in the middle of nowhere. It's huge. And almost that whole area is now test site. And how far underground that goes is mind-boggling too. Like underground, there's a Navy base in Nevada where people swear they've seen submarines come up and dock for repairs and go back. So like, where is that thing going?
Are you kidding me?
No, there's there's caves in Nevada where when there's an earthquake in Japan or an earthquake down, there's a part of Mexico, when it has seismic activity, there's 2 caves in Nevada that will fill up with water and slosh around. Like, water all the way from the ocean comes up through tunnels all the way under the United States into Nevada, and they fill up with water here in Nevada when there's an earthquake in Japan. That's like a known thing. I'm going to make a video where I go there and film that.
I'm blown away by that.
Yeah, we don't even know. We don't have any idea what's going on. I think, like I said, that ancient lake bed, Lake Bonneville that used to be here, when that broke and drained and made this into a desert, who knows what they found underground, like giant cave systems and everything they could have just built into.
Yeah, apparently Joe in the chat room is saying Hawthorne is where they see the submarines in Nevada.
Hawthorne, yeah. And there's people saying it's a Navy base out there with a whole lake. Yeah, and people swear they see helicopters fly down in underground and submarines come up from underground.
Yeah, and they also have the Naval Air Station Fallon in Nevada as well.
Yeah, and a lot of that, is just a lot of drone testing and things too. You have a lot of the artificial intelligence and advanced drone testing. But yeah, I think as far as the interactions with the phenomena and the technology, I think it was inevitable that when they first started trying to develop missile defense systems, you're talking about advanced satellite and radar systems to detect interballistic nuclear missiles from Russia or Cuba coming in. So high velocity missiles coming in from high altitude. How do we stop them? How do we catch these? How do we detect it? And as they started developing those defense systems, how do you not accidentally catch other stuff if there is other stuff? So as soon as you turn the system on to try and detect missiles from Russia, what if back at that same time they turned it on, they started catching other things, what they called at the time before there was UFOs, they called them fast walkers, which is another reason the name skinwalkers, I think, is why they picked that, because they're trying to bring the phenomena back down to the earth like it's coming out of the ground. It originally was fast walkers. They were coming out of mountains and flying around and going back in. And it somehow became from outer space, these spaceships from Mars. And the media flipped it all. But yeah, when you go back, it's interesting.
Yeah, looking at Google, I just Googled submarines, Walker Lake submarines, and there is a number of different stories about people having encounters going back the last 7, 8, 10, 12 years, seeing these submarines there.
It's weird, even though me and Jeff have talked to locals up there at Mount Wilson Ranch that are just old gold miners that like to go prospecting. They go poke around in the old abandoned mine shafts, and they get down in some of the mine shafts way down in there, a mile or two, thinking they're the only one in there. And around the corner will come guards in camouflage with guns that tell them to get out, like down in what they thought were just these abandoned mine shafts. And then these soldiers come around the corner and say, "Hey, you need to leave." It's like, who knows? That a lot of them are stories, but when you
Yeah.
go over there and you start digging around, that's when I go and I see for myself. I go in the mines and go look for myself and look for the evidence. And what we end up finding is Howard Hughes's stuff and old stuff that shouldn't fit there. And it gets weirder and weirder the more we look. So yeah.
2 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Carl Crusher is our guest. In continuing with that, do you believe then that the members of the military or the alphabet agencies are in the know of things like submarines in Nevada, or take it like you just said, the stories of these gold miners or miners going into these old abandoned mines and seeing soldiers come up and say, "Time to get out of here right now. This is a place for you."
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. I think it depends on the role that they had and the position that they had. Like a lot of the stories that I get that I find credible, what they were, the job that they may have had at the Nevada test site might have just been like they had a contracted job out there for a couple of months to do all the window tinting, for example. It's not like they were out there as a real, person working in a laboratory with top secret access, but they're out there in a place that they shouldn't be normally, and they're just on some sort of a contract to do a job, but they end up going into all of the buildings and things. So when you start to put together the pieces and you hear the stories, there becomes themes that pop up. Like you talk to one guy, and then a few months later you talk to another person, and then another person, and these themes emerge to where you start to say, well, this is credible. And then you read about it in one of Jacques Vallée's books when he was in the area or something like that. And then we're just kind of like piecing it all together to see what's real and what's not. But then I've had experiences where, like, Jeff and I have been up there, and we kind of did a bluff where we posted online giving the impression like we had access to tunnel system. Yeah, we got to
Hold
take
on
a break.
right there. We're going to go to break right now. Carl Crusher is our guest. We will be right back with the second half.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Roy Roush, welcome to SOR Chat. God, that just... we're going to be in Reno for the fan party May 10th through 12th. I might have to take a trip out there. It's not that far from Reno.
No, that's not that big of a deal. No. Yeah, if you just made a pit stop, if you just made like a trip of it, stop somewhere in Vegas on the way, stop at Area 51 and
Well, I
Rachel
did that.
little alien, and then just go a little
I
bit
went there
further.
last year. I went there last year.
If you go to the Little Alien, if you go to Rachel, Nevada, you might as well just get the day pass or a room and go up to Mount Wilson, because it's just right there. Yeah.
Is it right along the highway? Like when you continue on past the Little Alien?
Yep. So if you just keep going north, basically up north there, you'll hit a dirt road turnoff that says Mount Wilson Road, and then you drive on that road a couple of miles and you hit the main gate. But yeah, if you get on the Patreon, there's day passes and overnight stays and all that. You just let them know you're coming and get one of those, and you can go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. If you go to the Little Alien and you see a Canadian red $50 bill hanging off the ceiling, that's mine.
Nice. Yeah.
I autographed it. I was like, I got to put some Canadian money up. I have to. And I look at my wallet and I'm like, damn it. This is an expensive piece of tape to put up on the roof. It was the only Canadian bill I had on me. It was a $50 bill. So I went and put it on the ceiling. Between the Little Alien and that museum there where the tall alien is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave spent about $500 between both.
Between the gift shops there. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. That's one of them right there.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, they have some good stuff. Yeah, you're right on the edge there. There's weird stuff.
If you want some Area 51 dirt, we have that. Stickers and ball caps and T-shirts and all this kind of stuff.
Nice.
I even bought the Alien tequila while I was at.
Was it any good?
I haven't opened it yet.
Hey, there you go.
Dude, I don't even drink, and I bought the Alien tequila.
How do you not? Yeah, keep it on keep it in your office there, right?
I have it upstairs in my cupboard because the bottles are just so nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like to go over there. I end up a lot of times when I'm heading over to Mount Wilson, sometimes if I leave and I have a little bit of time left over, I'll go over there and hang out. It's cool. There is a lot of ancient petroglyphs there too.
Yeah, I think I bought about 5 pairs of socks. A couple t-shirts.
Nice.
Yeah, I could get stupid there. I signed the wall there, because you have to do that.
I think I did too. Yeah, we've gone in there and signed that.
It's getting hard to find a place to sign on there. They're almost having to paint. Going to have to paint over it and restart.
I know they ought to just do a whole billboard outside or a panel on the side of the building and just let people go out there and graffiti it. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that area. It's funny. One of my buddies who took me there, he's ex-military, and we get to Rachel, and I literally had tears in my eyes, man, because it's like Mecca for what we do.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he goes, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Dude, you have to realize this is my Mecca right here. This is what it's all about. And my dream one day is if this show gets big enough, I want to move it to Nevada.
Yeah.
As much as I love broadcasting in the middle of nowhere, British Columbia, I want to move it to Nevada. Because
I'm thinking about it too.
Nevada just calls me. Every time, it's really weird every time I leave, it's like I get homesick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love this area here. I've got my house for sale right now. I'm out kind of in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. I love it. But at the same time, I feel like, man, if I was more in Henderson or closer down by Vegas, it'd be easier to get to Mount Wilson. I could still get to all these places the same. But
Yeah.
then, like, I have so many friends coming into Vegas that could just rotate in and do a podcast and stuff. It'd be really easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it would be amazing. I think it would be amazing. You know, I have dreams of setting up shop in like Area 15,
Yeah.
you know, that big mall there. Like, they need a show like mine.
That would be awesome to do from right in there. That would be so cool.
They need a show like mine. Anyways, hold on. We're going to come back here momentarily.
Cool.
Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. So glad you are with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate you tuning us on in. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's funny, we were talking with Carl Crusher right during the break about how I would love to move this show down to Las Vegas, Nevada from the mountains of BC. Yes, I would miss Bigfoot, but that's okay. The aliens would cover for me. And Paramarv in the chat room puts this out. He goes, if Dave does move to Nevada, I'm opening a Taco Bell franchise next door to his studio. Dude, I'm trying to lose weight. You know that Taco Bell is like bacon to me. It is universal. There is no way I can give that up. I'd make you a millionaire in no time. No time.
You'd be in the 420 Mecca too, Dave. All right.
Yeah. Well, British Columbia pretty much is the 420 Mecca.
There you
know.
go.
Man. Everywhere. Carl, this show is flying on by as it normally does when you're getting there. We're talking about Mount Wilson out in Nevada here. Have there been a lot of UFO and or other weird sightings on Mount Wilson?
Yeah, even Robert Bigelow recently came out on the Jeremy Mishlove podcast, and I don't know if it was a mistake or not, but before Jeremy Mishlove's New Thinking Aloud podcast started, there was like a 2-minute beginning when they were just setting up, and they were live casting, and I don't think they realized they were live casting. And Mishlove asked Bigelow about Mount Wilson, and he openly said that, yeah, that he bought Mount Wilson Ranch because there was so many reports and so many sightings of football field sized or football stadium sized craft, these large craft going in and out of the bottom of the mountain, specifically Mount Wilson and the surroundings, Mount Wheeler and a couple of other ones that were like around there. And they basically, he said that it was like a corridor, an avenue that he wanted to turn into a research lab. And then we talked to a guy that worked in the phone company, and he said that, you know, Bigelow and his team, when he went up there to do some electrical work on the power lines and stuff for the phone lines, that they were working on a project to try and capture something with some kind of a radar system. And they had these big containers there. And Bigelow told him that they were trying to catch a UFO. And these boxes were freezer containers that they were going to put the aliens in when they caught the UFO. And so they were going to freeze the bodies and then ship them to Area 51. I don't know if that's a whole story or not, but I've talked to probably a dozen locals up there that have seen them, that have seen UFOs or things flying and going in and out of the mountain, bright lights, balls of light, and, you know, highly, highly credible people, even people who belong to the county politics and stuff down there and local government. And they've come up to Mount Wilson and told me their stories and sightings and drawn me pictures, shown me right on the map where they were parked, told me when to go and where to go. There's even locals up there that have a reputation of being people who go out and park at secret spots because they know where they can see the mothership coming and going. That's literally a story up there. So it's a common thing. But personally, all I see is a lot of like helicopters flying over, taking pictures of us and stuff. And then like Area 51 test flight, weird stuff flying over. But as far as like a UFO going in and out of the mountain, I'm still hoping to catch one of those.
I would love to see one of them motherships. They're just amazing. Absolutely amazing when people see that. But I mean, when you take the fact that, Robert Bigelow has seen this, I mean, what he knows in his pinky finger compared to what all of us know is incredible. And it would be, remiss for us to ignore the impact that he has had in regards to it. A lot of people don't like him because he is so secretive, never seems to give everything up. But he's also a guy who leaves a lot of Easter eggs as well. Have you figured out Robert Bigelow's Easter eggs?
Yeah, I mean, some of them. I know that consistently when he's asked about the phenomena, his reply is that they're here and that they've always been here. And when he's asked, well, where are they? He chuckles and says they're right under your nose. I know that one of the people that he surrounds himself with is a clue to that in his perspective of the phenomena as well. When you look at the team of specialists that he put together to work on the project, it gives you an idea of how they were looking at it, what they were doing, and what they believed it was. And it was genuinely very similar to what you would see in the old movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They were doing light and sound and frequency experiments, trying to basically communicate with something in another dimension that was existing or coming into our reality, coming and going into our reality from some sort of a portal or dimensional rift in the mountain. And I'm putting my own words onto that, but we've found the equipment. We've found old projectors. We've found stuff up there at Mount Wilson and whistleblower stuff that has been leaked to us that indicates that this is what was going on. And then we've even been able to rebuild some of the equipment that Bigelow left behind, get it working again, fire it up, take it back in the meadow, and then even get results where we've captured what we believe might be communication from the phenomena responding to us when we started using that equipment. And so, we're going through the process of all that. And I think figuring out Bigelow's Easter eggs is a lot of understanding who was paying them, where the money was coming from, and then who he hired to do the job. And it was all more digging underground with heavy equipment and archaeological type stuff, and then psychic stuff, remote viewing, trying to communicate with other dimensions of reality. I know that he has a space and research company building modules and space pods and things like that, an aerospace company. But when you look at the actual research at Skinwalker Ranch and at Mount Wilson, it looks way more like they were looking for stuff underground more than it does like they were trying to catch something out of the sky.
Wow. Okay. So do you think that Bigelow gets enough credit for what he has done, or do you think he takes too much harassment for what he hasn't given up?
I'm in the boat where I'm like, look, in the very first article in the Vegas Sun that George Knapp put out, him and Bigelow and Colonel Alexander are all telling the media that we're going to go do research about UFOs at this UFO ranch in Utah in Vernal, which ended up being Skinwalker Ranch. And we're going to share all the data with the public. And they never did any of that. They never shared anything. Everything that I figured out at Mount Wilson Ranch and that Jeff and I, we've either had to find out on our own or had leaked to us from people who got fired or disgruntled from Bigelow's offices that have wanted to help us figure it out. And I've even gone to Bigelow headquarters, walked right in the front door, tried to talk to him, and he sent Colm Kelleher out to basically kind of deflect us and wouldn't answer any questions. So I'm sort of the boat that, like, listen, I have a whole long list of friends and even some of my family that are affected by this and live right by Skinwalker Ranch, or right that, like my friends Jeff and Nicole, they sleep right, their house is on Mount Wilson Ranch and they deal with it daily. And so I'm more of the boat that, like, I want to go down to Bigelow headquarters and walk in, find the secret safe in the vault, push the door open, whether they want me to or not, and pull the files out and show them to everybody. I'm like, we're way past due. I think he should put it out and quit playing all these word games.
What do you think's holding him back?
I think that he knows that there's too much underhanded, dark stuff that went along the side of it. I think that along with them getting the funding to explore the paranormal and look for UFOs, a lot of that money was to do testing and to develop things that were maybe a little bit unethical along the way. So I think them or some of his team members that he hired, if we looked and dug into their past, I think we would see some unethical, dark involvement in some weird stuff that they might not want people knowing. Like these whole idea, the show of Stranger Things is based off of the psychic spy program, taking kids, putting them in these star camp for kids, and then doing, isolation tank or psychedelic drug experiments on them to try and communicate with aliens or other dimensions. And there's even evidence that we're finding at Mount Wilson Ranch. There's a little bit of that Howard Hughes could have been doing through the Mormon church and a partner that he had named Frank Gay, who was all into the Cub Scouts. And they might have been taking groups of Cub Scouts of kids from the Mormon church up to Mount Wilson to do exactly that kind of stuff. So I think that there might be a little bit of that in the files right along whatever they did discover that was paranormal or extraterrestrial or whatever. I think that maybe what they did to get those answers might not look that good. And so their way of disclosing also exposes them to liability to all the guinea pigs along the way.
Let's get to a couple of audience questions, if you don't mind, because they are building up. Let's start off with Amber here. Did you guys ever dig in that cave where you kick the rock and it sounds hollow?
That's in the back of the Shaman Cave at Mount Wilson Ranch. We could get the mining rights, the ability, the prospector rights and everything to go back there and dig in the cave, but it is an indigenous location. There was like 2 metate stones and ancient artifacts around there. So our first step is I have a new partnership with the Terra Exploration Group, and we're going to do magnetometer readings and ground penetrating radar to see if there's really a void there or if it's just an effect of the way the pumice of the lava rock is in the cave. But it sounds like there's a whole void, and even when we've taken an archaeologist up there, he thinks that there might be a subfloor or an entrance underneath the dirt back in there. So yeah, that's all something we're still exploring. I'm more interested in the tunnel that's right where the dig site is, where we've in season 2 of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, we've had like over $1 million of equipment up there, and we've dug up a bunch of stuff that I think was Howard Hughes's.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's move over. We got a hat trick of questions from Sovereign here. Those little stone or tree branch huts, do you think this is where invisible little people dwell?
So yeah, again at Mount Wilson and even around across the desert here is this legend of the little people, and there's also legends of giants when you go back far enough. And it sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings or mythology until you go places where nobody told you to go and you're hiking around and you find stuff on your own that does not make sense. Even at Mount Wilson, when we took the same archaeologists and we went and showed him this one spot, there's a couple of these stone, what I thought were just like storage sheds or whatever, but he identified them as like indigenous shelters with these grinding stones and things like for making food. but none of it made sense because they're tiny. Like the entrances, the doorways to go in and out, like would be like for someone the size of like Yoda from Star Wars, like that doesn't make sense that they're so small. And even I've been taken on reservation land to what was called the Valley of the Little People up by Skinwalker Ranch. And there was all these painted handprints on the back of the wall, and they all looked like adult shaped handprints, but child size. And the legends are all that back in an ancient time in the past that there was little people. So if there's something supernatural to that still existing, similar to the other Native American stuff, I think it's totally possible.
Yeah, we have a lot of little people sightings in my area too.
Yeah, totally could have
Yeah.
been a thing.
Just remember one thing: if you hear them in the forest calling your name, never go in.
No.
I had a buddy of mine out hunting back in 2018, and he was 20 minutes away from me in the forest, and he was walking around looking for grouse, and all of a sudden in the bushes in front of him, he hears my voice saying, "Mike, help me. I'm in here. Come help me. I need your help, Mike. Come help me." Said he's never, ever, like, this is a guy who doesn't get scared by anything. That day he was scared.
I believe it.
I said, dude, if you would have went in there, we would have never seen you again. They would have got you.
You probably would have went missing 411, right?
Totally.
Yes.
In the areas that you frequently visit, have you noticed any changes like boulders vanishing or recently manifested?
Not necessarily boulders specifically. I don't know if I've noticed that, but straight up objects like we said, the things like boots appearing, other things that show up that seem totally synchronistic or weird, objects that just appear in the room. Like people have found at Mount Wilson, like a pack of cigarettes or stuff laying there that Jeff's dad used to smoke, who hasn't been there for a decade, and like just strange things like that, like glitches in time, like stuff just pops up. And so I think some of those changes and glitches aren't necessarily in the environment, but more like the past and the future get a little bit mixed up. And so some of that does go on, but again, it's totally hard to verify other than like, man, Jeff's been down this hiking trail for 16 years, like constantly hiking the dogs, and then just him and I just happened to find this. Like, wow. Like, and that's common. We commonly find stuff on intuition that just shouldn't be there. And so who knows where it's really coming from or going or whatever, but missing stuff a lot too. Yeah, there's animal mutilations have happened up there, just dead animals found in weird circumstances and stuff. So yeah, there's been some anomalies like that.
All right, let's continue on as we got about 6 minutes here. Let's go to Sovereign again. The way these entities vanish or manifest objects, have you ever thought how easily they can do that to a person, like missing 411?
Yeah, I think if there's any truth to that, that's probably is what's going on. Like the same way that when we fly a drone in the air and the GPS gets confused that it's flying over parts of Cuba or the Bermuda Triangle, I think it's possible that, you could interface or slip through the cracks and kind of clip through the wall of our reality and go somewhere else. And I think sometimes we do that more often than we think with our consciousness and such, and that can be part of our encounters with the paranormal and with the phenomena, is getting a glimpse of that. But actually stepping through into the land of the lost is a whole other level. I think trying to catch the evidence of that is ongoing. We're doing it with equipment, but so far we're not sending in humans. I have friends that are trying, but we'll see how that goes.
Do you think that, because you've mentioned a couple of times now about the Bermuda Triangle, that your drones are picking up like Bermuda Triangle coordinates and all this, do you think there is a connection between the two? And have you guys thought about going to the Bermuda Triangle to test out the drone there just to see the results?
Yeah, I've been talking with the same ground penetrating radar team that I just partnered with about going there because one of the things we didn't know, because the Bermuda Triangle is one thing, but also the layer that in the 60s, part of that Project Bluebeam technology was to try and, project holograms off of submarines off the coast of Cuba to try and fool Fidel Castro and the citizens during the Cold War and stuff. So we're like, is our stuff getting spoofed because of technology trying to communicate with Russia or with the submarines around Cuba, or what's really going on? But we've had repeated incidents where instead of it being in Cuba, it's appeared the GPS has been sent consistently to another location too. But what's interesting is like in both of these spots, when you dig deep, there's also ancient artifacts, like off the coast of Cuba, right where the GPS signal got glitched in the beginning and sent there, is right over where they've discovered this sunken pyramid site, like an ancient sunken city off the coast of Cuba. And I didn't have any idea that was there until I started trying to figure out what was going on with the drone. So again, is it something to do with the underground earth tunnel system into Nevada that's going under to these different places of the world under the ocean and connecting? And is there like a ley lines that are connecting out that are glitching like that open up in one place and another? So that's kind of what we're exploring, trying to get the data. But the other place that the GPS went is just as compelling. I just can't talk about that yet because it was in season 2 of Beyond Skinwalker. It's under contract still.
Right. All right. 2.5 minutes. Let's get to a question from Mighty here. Carl, what's your take on Bob Lazar's story in the Wilson Davis notes?
Yeah, so that all lines up again with Mount Wilson Ranch too. So Eric Davis, who is involved in the Wilson Davis notes, he is in the photos at Mount Wilson Ranch with Colm Kelleher and also with Bigelow, and was on that team too. And so at the same time in 1996, when the metamaterial showed up in Vegas at Art Bell's desk, and then Linda Moulton Howe, Art Bell, and Travis Taylor and Hal Putoff, they all started studying it back in 1996. They were all actually at Mount Wilson Ranch. They weren't anywhere else. They weren't in Roswell. They weren't anywhere. And the shoebox of metamaterials showed up at Art Bell's desk with a note in 1996 saying that it came from the Roswell crash. But where Bigelow and all those guys were was at Mount Wilson. Eric Davis was there. And when he goes in the Wilson Davis memo to try and get access again, he's the one that did it. Bob Lazar, also on the Joe Rogan podcast, say that the UFO that he saw under Area 51, that he was told was from an archaeological dig. It wasn't from a crash site.
Amazing. Amazing, my friend. I still want to believe that Bob Lazar was there, man. I really want to believe that. I know people who've worked there and they're like, we don't think he did. We think it's a ruse. We're not saying that he's making it up, but we're thinking that maybe it's something different, that he's a plant or something to out the base or whatever it may be. Where do you stand on that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that I've detected a little bit of underhandedness here, like how the metamaterials showed up at Art Bell's desk, I think was a scheme that Hal Putoff and Eric Davis put together, where they got something from Mount Wilson that they dug underground. They recovered some bismuth, aluminum, zinc alloy metamaterial, and Jeff and I have found more of it too. And I think that they decided, we're going to have to turn this in. We're going to have to fulfill our contracts. This is going to have to go back to DARPA or Lockheed Martin or whatever, what we found. But we could slip some of it in the mix of other things in a shoebox and say that it came from Roswell. And we could stick that at Art Bell's desk. And then Hal Putoff and Travis Taylor can conveniently come and help figure out what it is. And then we've effectively smuggled some of the metamaterial out into the public research so that we can talk about
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Carl, thanks for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. We'll do it again. Coming up next in hour 3, Among the Missing with Steve Stockton. Jackie Harmon has the Cryptid Report, a busy hour 3 on Spaced Out Radio next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Totally appreciate it tonight, Carl. Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much, my friend. Let's
You bet.
chat soon. Let's chat soon.
Hey, appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your show, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy. You take care, okay?
All right. You have a good night. Thanks.
Take care. Carl Crusher, everybody. Literally one of the best guys in this field. One of the best guys ever. I love the man. Just fantastic. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And I'm going to brighten up my light here because I look so dark today. I don't know what happened. Be right back. What a great show. What a great show with Carl tonight. Juliana, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone with a hat trick, Mama Catherine, Pixie Lara, and Deborah Rooney for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support, guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget, if you're planning, still debating, to come to Reno, Nevada for May 10th through 12th, our fan party. You want to get your tickets now. Go to info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. We got a lot of really cool people coming to hang out with you. We have the live radio show, the VIP party, a ghost tour of Virginia City, and a sky watch with Melinda Leslie. Who's coming? Geraldine Orozco, Melinda Leslie, Jackie Harmon, who will be on next, Lee Strauss, Carter Bouchard, Science Bob, Jim Goodall, Tom Whitmore. Merle is going to be there because you all know you want to Merle it on up in Reno. We're staying at the Silver Legacy Casino Resort. Make sure you get your tickets. info@spacedoutradio.com. info@spacedoutradio.com. And here we go, everybody, with the third hour coming right up. Here we go with the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind each and every one of you that we really do appreciate you tuning us on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Please join us at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Password is, let's see, Habromania. Habromania is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night where we say hello to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another spooky story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. In 1947, a ghost ship named the Orang Medan was found floating near the Indonesian coastline. The crew was discovered deceased, with their eyes open and faces frozen in fear. The radio operator was also found deceased, with his hand on the Morse code key, sending an incomprehensible message. Other ships nearby reported witnessing this eerie occurrence. For decades, the story of the Orang Medan has been widely shared, particularly among people interested in maritime mysteries and paranormal phenomena. However, some have questioned its credibility due to inconsistencies, unverified information in the story, and lack of concrete evidence to support it. Furthermore, the absence of any known photographs or physical evidence of the ship or its crew makes it challenging to verify the story. There is no clear explanation for what might have caused the crew's deaths. While some have suggested that the ship might have been carrying dangerous cargo, no evidence supports this theory. Others have suggested that the crew might have been exposed to toxic gases or other environmental hazards, but again, no concrete evidence supports this idea. The story of the Orang Medan is a fascinating and mysterious tale that's captured people's interest worldwide. It has been the subject of numerous books, articles, and documentaries, leading to endless theories and speculations about what happened to the crew. And lastly, we have the Mary Celeste. In 1872, the Mary Celeste, a well-known merchant ship, was found abandoned and drifting in the Atlantic Ocean. For over 100 years, people have been captivated by the mystery surrounding what happened to his crew and making one of the most intriguing mysteries in maritime history. The Mary Celeste was constructed in 1861 at Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, Canada, and was initially called the Amazon. This vessel was a 103-foot brigantine with 2 masts for transporting lumber, coal, and other merchandise. It switched ownership multiple times before being acquired by an American entrepreneur named Benjamin Briggs in 1872. Briggs was a skilled sailor who had led various vessels before, including the De Gracia, the same ship that discovered the Mary Celeste adrift in the Atlantic. He intended to utilize the Mary Celeste to convey industrial alcohol from New York to Genoa, Italy. On December 7, 1872, the Mary Celeste departed from New York with a crew of 7, including Briggs' wife and 2-year-old daughter. Everything went smoothly until December 4th, when the De Gracia, a ship en route to Gibraltar, saw the Mary Celeste floating approximately 600 miles west of the Azores. When the crew of the De Gracia came upon the Mary Celeste, they discovered that it was sailing irregularly and seemed to be deserted. Upon boarding the ship, they discovered no trace of Briggs' family or the crew. However, they did find the ship's logbook, various documents, and ample supplies of food and water that had been stored on board for 6 months. The Mary Celeste had damaged its rigging and sails, but there was no sign of any struggle or violence on board. The ship's lifeboat was missing, but was later found adrift nearby. There was also evidence that the crew had left the boat quickly, and some personal belongings, such as pipes and tobacco, were left behind. Investigators have been puzzled by the discovery of the Mary Celeste, adrift and abandoned for over a century. Despite numerous theories to explain the crew's fate, none have been proven. Some argue that pirates or a rogue wave may have caused the attack, while others believe that the crew may have been afflicted by fumes from the industrial alcohol they were transporting. Additionally, some have suggested that the crew may have mutinied or left the ship for an unknown reason. One widely accepted theory about the ship's tragic incident is that the crew got scared due to a faulty pump that caused water to enter the vessel. According to this theory, the crew might have panicked and left the ship thinking it would sink, despite no immediate threat. Another theory is that the crew may have been the victims of foul play, possibly at the hands of Briggs himself. Some have suggested that Briggs killed his family and crew and abandoned the ship to escape prosecution and start a new life. The mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved, and it's doubtful that we will ever know what happened to the crew. Despite numerous theories, none have been substantiated, and it remains one of the most perplexing mysteries to date.
And thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another great story. If you want more, just head on over to youtube.com/Among the Missing. Hit subscribe, ring that bell today. From the missing to the mysterious, we got on the Cryptid Report Jackie Harmon hanging out with us tonight. Jackie, I got to go and tell you this little story before we start tonight. My face is a little sore during tonight's show.
Why?
Well, right before the show, my son decided that he wanted to have a little hockey game in our basement.
Oh.
And I obliged him. Well, he was beating me 8-5 in a first 1-10 wins when he got a little cocky. So I threw a little body check on him. Right after that, he decided that, you know what, we're going to go. He drops the gloves with me. You know, he's 10. He drops the gloves with me, and so we start going, right? And he punched me twice in the eye.
Oh, my God.
I've never been more proud of my boy. You know,
from the memes you send me, I guarantee you that's a true story.
It is a true story. My eye is actually like right below my right eye. It's actually kind of sore. It's actually kind of sore. And I was like, oh, he's like, I got you, Dad. I got you. And I was like, yeah, you did, man.
He got you good.
Yeah, I'm very proud of him right now. I'll take a little bit of face pain for my son dropping the gloves and
Well,
taking me down. You know,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying to teach him how to be a hockey player, not a soccer player on ice. Right. So got to do it right.
taking him down, taking dad down.
Yeah, it was a good moment. Good family moment there. He ended up beating me 10-5 or 10-7, by the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I may or may not let him win, but it makes him feel good. You know, that's what us dads do. That's
Yeah.
what us dads do.
Look what I have on before we get started. Da, 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 da.
Oh, you got a spaced out radio shirt.
I got the swag.
Very nice.
Not ugly swag.
I've got my last year's spaced out radio
Nice.
fan party shirt on tonight.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can't
So
wait. I'm counting down the days. Woo woo.
Me too. And I'm so glad you're coming to Reno with us.
I know. I can't wait.
I know. I hear about it every day. Every day.
I'm
Your
like,
weird
I'm coming. This is how many days.
Your little friend Ane, you know, she'll be coming there too. All right. Yep. You wanted to get into some little creatures tonight.
Yes, I do. This is my first time doing Crypted Report, by the way. So I'm super excited.
I know, we're excited too. What is it that interests you or intrigues you about these little creatures that are running around? Whether it's the legend of little people in the forests, or whether it's wood nymphs, gnomes, or whatever it may be.
You know, it's so funny because everybody who knows me obviously knows that I'm Bigfoot girl. Okay, but growing up, I also heard all of these stories about like these little people, from everything from what elves, dwarves, fairies, goblins, pixies, leprechauns, you name it. Okay. The fae or whatever it is. And, you know, you hear stories that they've been around like for thousands of years and people report seeing them. And I started like YouTubing these videos and found out there are people literally catching these things on camera, sometimes by complete accident. And then they'll hold on to them for years because they don't even want to like report them. And then eventually when they do get out and people are saying like, look, this is like something that we saw. And they're like these little tiny little people or creature or whatever it is. I don't even know exactly what you'd even call each individual one or if they're different. But I mean, they just absolutely fascinate me. It's like, where do they come from? Where do they live? You know, how come we don't get to see these things? You know, not that many people talk about them, but I'm completely fascinated by them.
David Weatherly, the famed cryptid writer, he actually called me up privately one day because he knew I had a fear of gnomes. And he says, Dave, you and I have to have a very serious talk about these gnomes. He goes, you need to stop fearing them and putting energy and saying that you hate them and dislike them and all this. I said, why? He goes, because they will come get you.
Oh,
they will come haunt you and be tricksters around you.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started with ceramic garden gnomes for me. Like, they just creeped me out. It's like clowns.
Seriously though, I did not. Okay, so like you know, I have a little gnome in my front yard. Like I have one that's like a little concrete gnome. It says welcome, holds a little sign. And I did not know that people were reporting the little gnomes with like the cone hat looking head. I don't know if it's a hat or a head, but I've been watching videos for days about these things. And they're literally running around with like the little cone hat on them. And it's blowing my mind.
I know.
They're everywhere.
Right now in studio, I have a number of gnomes in here, including right behind me. Yep. I even have a gnome of me right behind me.
Gosh. I'm obsessed with gnomes, by the way. That's like my thing. Holidays, you come to my house on the holidays, you're going to be blown away with all my gnomes. I am a huge gnome collector. Love them.
What do you think the trickster part of them is?
You know, it's the funniest thing because it's almost like the same exact thing I say about Bigfoot. Like, I think they call us in. You know what I mean? I think sometimes they play tricks where they're trying to bring you in. And it's very weird. I like have something on me. Sorry. It's very interesting because I feel like they're trying to take things away from people. They're trying to steal things from you. Obviously, we're way bigger than they are. But I mean, I keep hearing stories over and over and over of them like going into people's homes and stealing food and stealing objects. So I don't exactly know what it is they could do with all of these things, but they're always looking for things from other people because they keep showing themselves to people, but they're always like running off with stuff as whatever they can carry. Apparently they're quite strong because they can run off with things that are way bigger than them. And I've been watching video of this for days. I'm just like fascinated by them now. I actually came across this guy. I have to tell you guys, I'm absolutely in love with this. I keep hearing something behind me. Sorry. This guy's name is Erwin Saunders. Oh, my desk is moving. Sorry. And he actually lives in like the British Isle area. And let me see. I have some information. He studies ethereological nature around the British Isles. And what he does is he has found these little pixies, and it's like this whole little village of these pixies. And he goes there every so often. I think he might have about 40 videos, and he sits and waits for them. And apparently these pixies have seen him so often that they'll come out and show themselves to him in little different ones. And they've got like little hats and little worker bags, and they look like just little people working in their little village. And it's the cutest thing. And it makes you wonder, like, is this real? Is this guy making this? Is this, what is this exactly? But it's fascinating. And I've absolutely fallen in love with these videos. So if you guys want to go check him out, they're so fun. And this guy is like the sweetest guy. He has the sweetest little calm voice. And he sits there and he like waits for them, and they come out and he tries to interact with them. It's really cute. That's my favorite one I found so far of all of them.
Do you think that these little villages are kind of all over the place? We hear a lot of First Nations, reservations talk about having little people, being tricksters coming on in and, stealing jewelry and keys and all sorts of stuff. I know a First Nations friend of mine, in my area, where a few years ago, his mom was having trouble with the little people stealing her jewelry and stealing her keys. And so I said to him one day, I said, well, what are you up to tonight? And he goes, and he kind of looks at me and he looks around and he's like, I'm making trinkets for the little people.
Aww.
I said, why? He's like, why? He goes, because they keep taking my mom's stuff and I need to get it back.
Aww.
So I asked him a couple days later when I saw him, I said, how did that go? And he goes, well, we got most of the jewelry back and my mom's keys. So what they did was he was making little hats and they were leaving like food donations for them, because when you upset the little people, that's where they come in and they start taking your things. Right?
Yep. And in the videos that I've been watching, a lot of the people who say they actually have these things on video. And once they get like familiar with what's around, and I don't even know if they even know exactly what it is, but some of them have them like on video for quite a long time. Like one kind of runs around this family's living room for a while before it figures out how to get out. But they started doing the same thing where they would leave things for it and it would come back, and it became like this trust thing for each other. So I don't think they literally fear us. I think they're just trying to be careful and safe, but at the same time, they can be tricksters and cause people to get like out into the forest or far away from others and do strange things. I kind of feel that it's the exact same thing. Like I said, with Bigfoot, they have a tendency to get us to wander off, and, they call our names. I heard you guys talking about it earlier. They'll use other people's voices, and, they'll call out your name, and it's like a familiar sound or voice or person that It's very interesting.
Have you heard of a lot of those situations where people have been in the forest and all of a sudden heard voices called?
Yeah, I have. A lot of people. I've actually had that happen to me. The weird part for me was I was actually in the forest with my dad, and my dad had kind of like stepped off for a minute, and I was like kind of walking. I was only maybe like 10 to 15 feet away, and I heard him right next to my head call my name, my dad's voice, everything. And it was like right next to me. And I knew he was way back there. And I turned around and I was like, "Hey, are you calling me?" And he said, "No, I didn't call you." And it was just dead on my dad's voice calling my name.
How did you feel about that when Dad told you that it wasn't him?
I grew up hearing these stories, and I knew that those kind of things happen. I've actually had that happen to me in the paranormal as well. So it wasn't the first time I'd heard my name be called out by, something other than human. So it wasn't like a shock to me, but at the same time, it was like, whoa, like, that was close. That was really close. And it makes you wonder, like, how close and what was it?
What do you think it was?
Well, I grew up hearing stories that, Bigfoot would take on other people's voices, other people, and they would call out to your name. So, that's what we're out there looking for. So for my family, we just assume that, they get familiar with the people that go out there, and we would go out to the same locations over and over. And we made it very personal, where we would tell them what our names are. We don't just go out there and look around and not communicate or talk. And we actually let them know personal information about us, like what our names are, what we're there for. We're just like trying to learn. We actually explain to them the reason why we're there. So I think they get familiar with certain people and comfortable with certain people. So maybe that's the only way they can communicate, by using others' voices. I don't know, but it is interesting. It didn't scare me.
It's very interesting indeed when that goes on, because a lot of people follow those voices.
Yeah.
And I tend to believe that there's a lot of people who actually disappear and are never seen again because they've wandered into the forest where these voices are calling them, thinking that they're helping somebody.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Well, like a lot of people, and I've heard this, I was with my family. I was actually with about maybe 5 or 6 of us at the time. And we had heard stories of the past of like hearing a baby cry or a woman screaming. And we were like really, really far out where no other humans are going to be. No one's going to be camping or hiking at all. And out of nowhere, we literally heard a woman scream out, like as if she was giving birth. And then the next thing we hear is like a baby crying. And at first we wondered, like, are they taking on the sounds of people and making that sound? Or are we actually experiencing like the sound of maybe a female Bigfoot giving birth? It makes you wonder.
It totally makes you wonder about what is going on, what really it's all about. And I mean, it just adds to the high strangeness that the phenomena is. And you don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand what it's all about or why it's happening. And we're going to discuss it more as we prepare for the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Jackie Harmon filling in on the Crypted Report. Yeah, we love Jackie around here. She's just so much fun that we're going to bring her on a little bit more. We do. Spaced Out Radio with me, Dave Scott, continues with the final half hour next. Stay tuned, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I love that guitar solo. I do.
I'm so hyped up on coffee. I was like, I got to stay up late. I got to drink coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't normally do that at night.
Oh my! Like, what is this coffee thing?
I know, right? Unless you're Ine. Ine will drink coffee from morning till she passes out.
I've heard stories about her. Dangerous stories.
Oh, she's fun. She's my
Mhm.
travel mate.
Mm-hmm.
We go everywhere together.
Once again, dangerous.
Wait till we're there together. We're dangerous when we're on our own, but wait till we're there together.
I'm going to the other side of the casino. Mhm.
We'll find you. We know where you are.
I'm pretty good at camouflage.
Yeah, I wore that the other day. I was like, no one can see me.
Yep, that's true. Totally true. Totally true. I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about going to the forest this weekend.
Woo!
Yeah, I think because we didn't get a lot of snow this year. It's kind of dangerously light on snow this year.
Oh wow!
And so I think I can get into my Bigfoot area.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just stand there and wait. Use myself as bait.
I've been bait many times. Matter of fact, I used to actually wear a T-shirt that said Bigfoot bait.
That is awesome. That would actually be a good T-shirt for our Spaced Out Radio store.
Yeah. I'm actually the one that made it. I created it.
Can I borrow it?
Of course you can.
Perfect. Put a big hot pink Bigfoot bait on there.
Bigfoot bait.
Oh gosh. Look at this comment here. Believe all the rumors.
True. We got some, I'm telling you. This girl and I have traveled everywhere. We are trouble. Trouble with a big old T.
NHI in the chat room. Punch Dave is a good thing. Well, I mean, you got to be ready to go at all times. The only time I fight is in hockey. I don't do it on the street. That's just stupid. Sovereign Farts wants to know, Jax, how often do they steal your shoes? What do you think they do with them?
Interesting enough that you would ask me that. I have a really weird shoe story about my shoes going missing.
Okay, hold that thought. We'll save it for the show in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Anna in the chat room. I can't wait to hear what else I did. Oh God. I'm just gonna wave the white towel right now.
The worst thing I could have done was sit in this tourney chair.
What do you got the tourney chair for? Mine's a tourney chair.
Available in the room. I know. I have a bad habit. Anytime I get in a chair that moves, I want to move with it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Don't
your
tell
clock's
anybody.
an hour behind.
Oh, yeah, I said that.
You need to reset your clock.
My clock?
Yeah. It's an hour behind. The one behind you on the wall.
Oh, that clock doesn't. I don't even think that clock works. I'm not even at my house. I snuck away. Believe it or not, I actually went out of the house. That's a rare thing. I am at my mom's house because she is actually at my house staying with my kids because she just had surgery. So I snuck away.
Oh, there's little Robbie G hanging on out with us. Sweet Robbie G, we call him around here.
Robbie G.
Mm-hmm. The man with the bright red chin hair. Oh, I love it.
Is he coming to Reno?
He is coming to Reno.
Ooh. I'll see you in Reno.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Can't wait.
Yes. What is it, about 48 days?
I think it's sooner than that, actually. I'm going to look it up.
All right. Thank you, Debster, T-Bone with a hat trick, Mama Catherine, and Pixie Lara for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So check it on out and make sure you go get yours today. Here we go, everybody. Like 3 seconds.
44 days.
Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our archives. We don't charge for them like the other shows. No, you got them for free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Jackie Harmon, the Cryptid Report. We're going to start off with a question from Sovereign here. How often do they steal your shoes, and what do you think they do with them?
First of all, I have no idea what they do with them, but I do know that several times in very different circumstances, I have had my shoes taken. I think I even told that story when I was on the show the other night. I was living in a haunted location where my shoes went missing, and they were up in this lady's apartment across the way. We found out we were living on haunted land, but I actually do believe that there is a reason why that they do steal people's shoes. Of my own opinion, I don't know for a fact, but I was kind of told this like story back in the day that there is something about like them walking in your own shoes or having something to do with where your feet have touched something like cloth or material, because your feet have so much energy. And if it touches something like a shoe, that they can take on that energy. And it's a very interesting thing because growing up, I didn't quite understand what they were saying. But then when I had my shoes taken, it made sense, because the very first time it happened to me was by like an Indian spirit, and everyone in this building had seen the same woman multiple times. So it wasn't just us. It was everybody who lived in the building. So it stories go around, and it makes you wonder, like, what is it about shoes specifically? But that's kind of my opinion. So I don't know if that's true or not, because obviously I haven't talked to them. We don't communicate with each other. But like, I mean, that's my guess. I have no idea if it's true or not, but makes you wonder, like, what's the purpose of the shoes? But they go missing quite often.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that seem to go missing. Socks. And that's not just from the dryer or anything like that. But when people are out camping, they seem to lose a lot of things that they don't really notice until they get home. They're like, "Where's my pocket knife?" or "Where is my, my hooks to my tent?" There always seems to be strange things that go missing in those areas. Or you go out on a hike, and like you said, you change your shoes, or because you want to dip your feet in the creek or something like that. Next thing you know, your shoes are gone.
Mm-hmm.
The forest.
So many people don't realize how connected we are to the earth. Like we truly are connected. And when your feet are touching ground, that is going through your body. We are feeling the energy of the earth and the ground. It's like everything starts at the bottom of your feet and goes up. It connects everything to your organs, your brain. I mean, everything.
That's very true. That is very true. And I understand that nature and us, mainly for humans, we've forgotten that we actually have that ability to connect with nature. I
Mhm.
always say to people, I mean, the easiest thing you can do is when you're out in the forest, go hug a tree. Doesn't mean you're a tree hugger, but go hug a tree and actually connect it. Tell the tree how beautiful it is, how much you love it. That tree will respond to you. It
Yeah.
will. It is the strangest thing. I would have never known that trees do that until I did it for myself.
Well, it's just like the scientific fact. I mean, science, they have actually done so many different tests with plants that they'll ignore certain plants. They'll put some in the dark, some in the light. They'll talk to some, not talk to others. And the ones that are getting the light, the ones that are getting all the energy, and the ones that are being talked to are growing like tremendously. And the other ones are just sort of wilting away. So it does make a difference.
I agree with you. I agree. I want to switch the topic to Bigfoot because one of the topics that came up with Lon Strickler the other night
Mhm.
was the translucent hair. We were talking
Mhm.
about shimmer creatures like Shimmer Man, Glimmer
Mhm.
Man. Have you had any cases with the Glimmer Man?
I haven't personally, but I've heard about it. I've heard stories about it, and I've heard people like talk about what they think it looks like or the hair, different things about it. But I personally have never had that experience. And it's never been anything that I've ever come across. I've never found evidence of anything that looks like that. So I don't even know exactly where they found that or saw that at. Did they say?
No. Well, there was something that was brought out. That there was a number of different sightings, and they seem to be popping up even more,
Hmm.
more. You
Maybe
know,
that's something new that they're like experiencing. Maybe it's something that most people don't see because like I have never even heard of like past sightings of people explaining it in that way. That's a new one for even me, and I've been doing this forever.
right? Do you think that Sasquatch maybe has translucent hair, and that's the reason why it's able to blend into certain areas so quickly?
Um, I do feel like that Sasquatch's the coloring of the hair definitely is more blendable. You know how like some creatures can change or spiders can change just the way the coloring or the look of their body or whatever. I tend to feel like maybe Bigfoot might possibly be able to like blend in a little bit more like that because I think they can change depending on like maybe the season or where they live. Because a lot of people will say like they see gray ones, white ones, brown ones, black ones. I mean, there are so many different colors, but it makes me wonder if they're capable of actually changing color, red even. So I've often wondered that about them, if they can change the color. I mean, they cloak for God's sake. So many people, they'll stand right in front of people and they'll see it. And it's not, they don't even like walk off or turn around or leave. They just disappear. And I've been hearing those stories from sightings since I was a kid. So that's nothing. That is not cloaking for Bigfoot is nothing new. People are saying now it's like, oh, that's new. That's not new. That's been happening for a long time.
What do you think the cloaking represents? Is it just its own camouflage?
I think it is capable of cloaking to protect itself because when people get too close and let's just say they're backed into a corner somewhere where there is maybe nowhere to go, maybe they're in the back of a cave and people come in the cave. I do believe they're capable of cloaking themselves. So even if they're sitting right next to people, you don't feel them, smell them, see them, nothing. It's basically like they're not there. But the weird thing is I have actually seen footage of where they'll catch it with like maybe the heat signature, or it'll even look colder than normal. But you can actually see that there's something there, even though there was nothing that, to the naked eye. So they have ways of doing it. And that's why I feel like they're like that interconnection, the interdimensional connection with aliens, because I've heard my whole life, an alien can be there 1 second and gone the next. So who knows? Maybe they're connected to the little people. I mean, I hear the same thing about them.
Do you think then that that's the reason why Sasquatch can be in certain areas and just blend right in?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I feel like they're around a lot more than people think they are. I think that there's probably a multitude of times where people might even walk right past one, not even know it's there. There's way more out there than people know about. I mean, a lot of people think like, oh, there's one Bigfoot and he just lives in like one area. It's like, no, they're everywhere. And they have families just like the rest of us. So they're all over the country. I mean, if you actually get on a map of like Bigfoot sightings, it will blow your mind at the places that people are reporting this. I mean, Pennsylvania and, like Florida and Texas and Oklahoma. I mean, you name it, California, Washington. I mean, it's everywhere. Alaska. I mean, those are some more obvious places, but then there are really odd individual like places where you think like, oh, you'd never see one here. And lo and behold, there are sightings all the time. So it's just like Louisiana, people think like, oh, it's nothing down here. But, I lived down there for 4 years and we constantly had people reporting sightings of what we call the rougarou, the honey swamp monster. And I actually had a very frightening situation where I was one of the people who was kind of being called off and wandered off and ended up lost in the woods. And I don't do that. I never leave the people that I'm with. So that was a weird one for me.
As a woman, do you feel any type of fear or hesitation in going into the forest alone, knowing that Sasquatch has been known to take female as wives?
No. And it's funny because I've thought about that in the past. Like, I am female and I do sometimes kind of wander a little bit off by myself, but no, I just don't. I just grew up feeling like I think there's a connection of maybe they know that I'm there to respect them. I think also being a sensitive, I do believe that Bigfoot has that like more medium psychic sensitive. I don't know what you would call it with Bigfoot, but I do believe that they are very connected and they can understand when people are there for good and not harm. And I've never had a bad situation or a scary situation like that ever. And I've been like up in their home. I've crawled in their nest. I leave DNA when I wander around. So I think they remember me. I really do, because when I go back, I have almost like similar situations happen where I'll leave something will come back to me. I do believe that they remember people.
I think they do too. And I would highly agree with that. But I don't think that they are interested, and this is just my theory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're interested in the people who are walking their trails. Like they will out of curiosity, but if they see the same people walking their trails all the time, I think that's where they get a little bit more, predatory and possessive for their area. But I think if you're just hanging out, having a good time, maybe there's a campfire, maybe you're just sitting around laughing and cooking some hot dogs, or there's like in my case, I bring my son out and he is he's playing, he's laughing, he's having a good time. I think that attracts them. When you're in the same spot and doing everything the same, and they have full control of their environment around them.
They're as curious about us as we are them. And believe it or not, when people are camping, they'll actually come in close. And sometimes people even have pictures of them like standing around, sometimes behind you, not like right behind you, but like kind of off, like watching. And just out of like, just taking a picture of the group or whatever, people will end up seeing them in the background, just kind of standing there watching. So I just think they're just curious. They're wondering, like what we're doing, what we're up to. They love children. I've had children around me when I've gone, and they're very attracted to children. Like, just like they come around more. Like, I think it's just they know they're playful and innocent, and they have children of their own. So I think they realize it's the same thing.
Why do you think there is an attractive curiosity by Sasquatch when children are around?
I think that because, there are Bigfoot families, and the fact that they have their own children. And when you get children around and children are laughing and playing, they're so much more innocent. And I think they really do understand that they're just more of like there to have fun and enjoy themselves. They're not the adults who are out looking and searching and knocking and whistling and, doing the same old, same old. And I just really honestly feel like they just have that, like, interest of just watching and observing and just seeing what we're doing. And we get more interaction. Like when I was a child, my dad used to tell me all the time, every single time we bring you, we get more activity than ever. And I started when I was 4.
Is it the innocence of a child? Is it that they are looking to kidnap the child
No.
and waiting for an opportunity? What is it?
I grew up with my family camping all over the country. And there would be times even like, because when you grow up camping, your family has a little bit more trust of knowing that where to go, where not to go, what to do. And I would be wandering off at like, 8, 9, 10 years old out in the woods with my sister, my cousins, whoever I was there with. And I just honestly feel like they're just really just more curious, and they like to watch and see what we're doing. I just really do feel like they like the innocence of observing. I don't think it's anything to do with like wanting to hurt anybody or kidnap anybody or take them. Because I can tell you, they've had an ample amount of opportunity to kidnap me, because I've been out there many, many times by myself, wandered off as a kid, a teenager, have found evidence of Bigfoot sightings, and any time one could have just come out and taken me. I could have been, Bigfoot's wife. But nothing's ever happened to me. Nothing bad.
But it might be the area you're in too, because a lot of the pods of these creatures tend to have, a passive attitude. Whereas there are rogue pods out there, much like there's rogue killer whale pods that will take on great white sharks and go kill, gray whales and all sorts of stuff. I think there are these rogue Sasquatch areas, around the Louisiana Bayou would be one of them. Alaska and in northern British Columbia seems to be another, where they seem a lot more aggressive than docile, like in the Pacific Northwest, or heading from British Columbia right down to California.
Mm-hmm. Well, Northern California has like been my ultimate favorite location I've ever experienced. It's been by far for me the most evidence, very clear sounds, talking, knocking, whistles, structures, nests, you name it, like the whole shebang, everything you can hope for. I have video proof, pictures, just it's amazing. And this is actually in the same exact location as the Patterson-Gimlin film was made above Willow Creek, and it's just blown my mind because it, for me, has validated that video is real. Because I was in the exact same place. And like I said, I have never, ever seen more evidence than there, ever. And I've been everywhere. Like I've been to every state in the United States. I've literally been everywhere you can go. And it has been a fascinating and amazing time. And the journey of looking has been fun, but evidence-wise, that was number one for me and still remains number one for me.
We have a minute to go here on Spaced Out Radio. Jackie Harmon is our guest tonight on the Cryptid Report. Very curious, as we start to wind things down, what do you do to keep yourself safe?
Well, personally, I always go with someone, if not several people. I usually have at least one person I go with. Of course, I am very safe about, I carry a gun with me. I make sure that I am protected, but it's not something that I would ever use unless absolutely necessary. I am not there to harm anything unless something was going to harm me. So I am very careful about how close I get. I'm very careful about what I touch, what I do. So I'm not there. Now, I do say like things like, I will go and crawl up in a nest and things like that. We're talking about things that I'm with a group of people, and you can tell that, you know, this Bigfoot family or whoever lived there is long gone. So, and you can always tell because of the way the weather and the trees have changed, and
It's all about safety.
There's
It's all
patterns.
about safety. Jackie Harmon, thank you for filling in on the Cryptid Report tonight. It was absolutely amazing. Always good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up.
Bye,
The
guys.
guitar, God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAF, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. All right. Good job, Jack Serino. Hold on. I had you muted. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
It
You
was
can
fun.
hang out if you wish. You don't have to rush off the air.
I'm here. I can hang out. I've got horrendous allergies that the pollen here is kicking my butt.
And here we all just thought you were just picking your nose because that's a habit you have.
I do that too. So don't judge me.
And we also learned tonight, thanks to you, that our listener Sovereign Farts has a shoe fetish, which is kind of awkward, but that's okay.
I don't know if that means like you collect shoes or you just want to steal my shoes.
I think he wants to feel your shoes.
I get a lot of people asking me for feet pics.
Weird.
It is weird. I don't get
Weird.
it. I'm not going to
I am.
send any. I'm not going to send anybody any, so he can stop asking.
Why? Do you have ugly feet?
No, I have great feet, but I think it's weird.
Do you have
I'm
hair
just-
on your toe knuckles? Be honest.
Hair on my what?
Toe knuckles.
I don't think so.
Hmm. Sure.
Isn't it like a man thing?
I don't know. I'm just messing with you right now because this is a screwed up topic.
I'm a girl. I shave those things.
Mm-hmm.
Wax.
Sovereign farts. I have a beard fetish. I don't have a foot fetish. I have a beard fetish.
Oh my God. These things are killing me. I hope I'm not like this in Reno.
Why? What's the matter?
I'm
You
a
got
little
corns or
tall.
bunions?
Huh?
You got corns or bunions or what?
Me? No, I have great feet. And I always have a pedicure and my feet are soft.
Yeah, I'm going for a pedicure in Reno.
Oh, let's do it together.
What's that?
Let's go get a pedicure together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You feet people are so weird. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Treat yourself.
I don't care what anybody says. If you have never treated yourself to a pedicure, you are totally missing out. I
say that every single time I go. I go every 2 weeks. I've been going since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we have more men come into it's not my salon, it's just where I go. But the salon that I go to, there's always men in there. And I'm like, I love that. But I've never, ever, ever had a guy in my life that would go with me. So y'all jerks were missing out.
All right. We'll go and let's break your pedicure with a guy virginity in Reno, and I will be the guy, and we will totally go get pedicures.
I love it. I love it. Yes.
I'm game for that. I love a good pedicure.
I love that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if you have never had a pedicure, if you're a man and you've never had a pedicure, shame on you. Okay,
Right?
Go get one. It is amazing.
And if your woman asks you to go get a pedicure and you tell her no, dude, that is not cool. Let me tell you. I am not down with guys telling women no about a pedicure. The Jack Cherry, I love it.
Not me, man. Dave, what about a good waxing? No, that's where I draw the line. I'll tell you
right now, I've had that Brazilian wax done twice. I don't know what I was thinking going back for the second one. I thought, well, maybe the first one was rough. I'll try it again. No. Jackie's done. I'll take care of that on my own.
Yeah.
No, thank you. That
No,
stuff is
I don't have a hairy back, but I have a few hairs on my back. My sister one day, she's like, oh, this is going back. Oh, goodness. When was my pre-divorce party? 2005. No, 2009. It was 2008 or 9. And yeah, me and my buddies went down to Vegas for my pre-divorce party. And my sister's like, oh, let me just wax your back. Okay, I'll give it a try. How bad could it be? Never again. Never. It's brutal.
So are you allowed to say certain words? Because I was going to say, not a bad word, but I was just going to say, my JJ's still in the bowl. That lady stole it from me.
I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Was it bad?
I was just gonna say, like, after she did the Brazilian wax, I'm pretty sure I left my, lady bits in her bowl. She owns them now. She robbed me.
Oh, she stole your underwear.
She has everything. Haha. Everybody heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's what I said.
Oh, yes. Well, considering we're just on YouTube and not the radio right now, that kind of works.
I didn't want to say it.
Okay, where is
Lady Bits?
Dave Scott.
Lady Bits. All right. Lady Bits.
That's what I call it. I actually, my 15-year-old son, every time I tell him to go take a shower, I say, wash the lady bits. And he gets so mad at me.
2. Where am
I don't have lady bits.
Give me 2 seconds here. Where am I? Okay, number 3. Sorry. All right. Here we go. I can see that.
I'm so excited for Reno. I've already ordered clothes. I've got outfits picked out.
You know what? I packed an entire suitcase last year, and I think I wore 1 pair of pants and 2 pairs of shorts the entire weekend. I am not overloading this year.
Oh,
Too damn
no.
Too damn
No.
heavy.
Although I'm a light packer. I'm a carry-on girl. I don't check luggage. I don't care if I'm going away for a month. I'm taking my carry-on. I've had my luggage stolen, lost, you name it. I'm over it. So whatever I can put in my bag and my backpack is going.
Mm-hmm. You must be a good folder then.
I'm a good shover inner. Shove it in there.
Yeah. You like a good fold. Good roll up the underwears into little bitty. I roll t-shirts. I do that.
Yeah. I do that with everything in my house. T-shirts, underwear, towels. I roll everything.
See, and I hang everything up. All my t-shirts are hung up. My pants are all hung up. My sweaters, my jackets. I've got 800 hangers in my closet. I'm one of them guys.
That's me. I have everything, all my normal stuff hung up, and yet I still have 500 extra hangers. And I'm like, what am I doing with all these hangers?
I have 2 drawers full of socks.
That's a lot of socks.
Yeah.
What you need that many socks for? What you gonna do with all those socks?
Because I love patterned socks. I just my daughter got me a pair of socks for Christmas that were pickles. I never had pickle socks before, and they got dancing pickles on them.
Oh, so you like specialty fun socks. Now, I do have some specialty socks, I have Bigfoot socks, alien socks, Christmas socks. I have stuff like that.
Yes, you have to have.
Now, I will be wearing of course, pretty much everything Bigfoot you can imagine. Bigfoot pants, Bigfoot shirts, Bigfoot PJs. Get your.
I am a plaid sock kind of guy, Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you. Yes, I do have a couple pairs of plaid socks. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Plaid socks? I have plaid socks. Ooh, I don't have SOR socks though. Ooh.
You can get SOR socks at our store. You could get the SOR ones or the Sweet Robbie G ones.
Get over it, Jax. Get over what?
She said, just kidding.
Oh. Van Gold?
That's Vanessa.
Oh.
Yes.
Did you message me? Van Gold, did you message me today? I swear I had someone named Vanessa message me today. Was that you?
I don't know if that was her. cut that up. Good there. Good
Anybody
time.
who wants to order one of these shirts, okay, let me see if I can get it back. Okay, let's move my hair so you can see it. Okay, so I got this t-shirt on the website. I love it. I love the softness of it. It fits me perfectly. I actually ordered two. I'm not going to lie. I got a medium and a large. So.
I'm telling you, we do not have ugly swag.
No.
We do not have ugly swag.
Nate ordered one. She got the tank top.
Yep. You went with the old school logo, though. The 1947 typewriter. That's
I know.
the font.
I love it. I love it.
Yep. That's the old 1947 typewriter font.
It's good. I love it. I like it a lot. I'm a V-neck girl. Anything I can get V-neck.
Paramarv, don't worry about. I don't know why that American flag is on there. You can order anything you want on the store. It'll translate into your own money.
Wait, what? Somebody wants a Jax Warren's SOR shirt. Hey, I'll tell you what, I will wear it and you can buy it.
Mm-hmm. That's the way they roll.
So what else you want to talk about?
I don't know. There's no roller coasters in Reno, is there?
You know, I don't. You know what's funny is I lived in Reno for about a year of my life when I was a teenager. I actually went to high school there for a while, but I have not really been to Reno to do the Reno scene. I have been to Virginia City a few times. I've flown into Reno and then I just go up to Virginia City, but I don't really know that much about it anymore. This is gonna be my first time hanging out.
Roller Kingdom, Urban Air Trampoline and Adventure Park. I'm trying to see if there's any roller coasters in Reno. Playland Park. Where's Playland Park? I'm a big fan of roller coasters.
I know well, that's Vegas. I was going to say some of the hotels might, but no, it's Vegas. I don't know. I'm not even sure.
I'll find one. If there's a roller coaster, I'm going to find one.
Wear your t-shirt.
How you doing?
Know who you are.
Yes, I do believe they do deliver to the UK.
So are any of the people in the chat coming to Reno?
There's a number of them.
Ooh.
There's a number of them coming.
Are you guys excited to beat me?
Tim Mossman has to buy 2 tickets, one for him and one for his goatee.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. The question is, who shows up with Dave Scott or Rob G underwear? That's what I want to know.
Do you sell those?
I do.
I would wear that.
I wear them. They're comfy.
Reno or bust.
Yep. There we go. We can get rid of that. Get rid of that.
I'm actually, for anyone who's on here that's coming, I'm actually going to be there from Thursday to Monday. So if anybody shows up and they want to hang out, just if you see me, I'll hang with you. So let's hang out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's have fun. I'll go eat. I'll go hang out. We go shopping. I'll hang out. We can eat, grab a drink, walk around, check out stuff, get our nails done. Whatever you want to do.
Party is all about.
Yeah.
Paramarv, I want to see you prove that you're wearing the Dave Scott underwear in Reno. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So
can't work either.
I'm up early, so I don't know who's all like. It doesn't matter if we party, we do whatever. I'm still up super early. I'm going to be out, walking around, checking things out. I like to go out. I like to go have breakfast.
I like a good eggs Benedict.
That's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
That is my ultimate favorite.
You know what's really good with eggs Benedict? It's when you put hot sauce on it. On the hollandaise. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
What's your thoughts of eating breakfast foods for dinner?
Me, I love it.
Ew, sick.
I love it. Matter of fact, I make it quite often. I'll do bacon, eggs, potatoes. I mean, I do it all. I love it.
I knew there was something wrong with you.
If you've never had eggs Benedict, you're missing out. It is.
Yeah, you don't do it for dinner. It's a breakfast food.
I love it. Like when you get together with a big group and they're always like, somebody in the group eventually is going to be like, let's go to Denny's. And I'm like, honey, please. I'm in. I love breakfast food. Love it. Eggs Benny.
Mm-hmm.
Down here in Southern California, they actually do like a really healthy eggs Benedict. It's like kind of like a I don't even really know what they call it, but I think it's more like spinach with tomato, but it still has like the egg, and I can't remember what all, but anyway, it's really good. But it's a lot healthier. But I love the original. I'm like obsessed with biscuits and gravy and like home fries, those home potatoes. Like, oh my God, Jesus. I could just eat breakfast all day long. But I have some really bad allergies to food. I am allergic to all fish. And,
I don't eat fish.
Yeah. Oh, good. And I'm also allergic to all citrus. So I cannot have lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, anything like that.
Whoever thought that grapefruit was good to eat? That is a horrible, horrible fruit.
It is awful.
It tastes terrible.
It is terrible.
It's a horrible fruit. The only thing good for the grapefruit is a garbage dump.
The trash can.
It's horrible.
It is horrible. Yeah.
I don't know why people would subject themselves to that.
Hold on a minute. I was allergic to citrus and fish as a kid. You're the only other person I've ever heard of that is allergic to fish and citrus like me. I'm not
allergic to it. I just don't like fish because it stinks. Okay.
Fish does stink. It does stink.
Yeah, fish stinks.
Yeah.
And I like orange juice. I like lemonade. I like lime. Mm-hmm. But grapefruit is terrible. Anybody telling you that hold on, what does it say? I feel bad for you, Dave. You obviously have never had a good one. Well, I've had plenty of good ones in my life, just never a grapefruit. It's terrible.
Grapefruit
Give me an orange anytime. Warded Dragon, how are you?
I haven't had grapefruit since I was a child. I learned at a very early age that I was allergic to citrus. And believe it or not, I actually used to eat some fish, but I found out about maybe 5 years ago, I had a deathly allergic reaction to fish and ended up in the hospital. And that's when I found out I was allergic to all fish, literally all. And now I have to carry an EpiPen. I actually have 2 in my bag at all times. So if anything gets like cross-contaminated or whatever, I'm safe. But yeah, it sucks because the whole world likes to put lemon on crap and put lemon in your drink and stuff like that. And I have to be careful. I actually I can go into a cardiac arrest. What's an EpiPen? It's a pen. It literally looks like kind of like this, except it's usually yellow and black. And you take the lid off and you stab yourself in the leg and pump the medicine in there, and it'll save your life, at least long enough to get you to the hospital.
Yeah, one of my best friends, he was deathly allergic to bees, wasps, hornets, and every time we went fishing, he had to tell me where his EpiPen was just in case.
Yeah. If you don't have your EpiPen,
well, you guys got ripped off down there when they jacked the prices of EpiPens for no reason.
Down here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, I get all mine for free through my medical, so I'm blessed with that because I can't even imagine having to pay for them.
In Canada, they're $100 a piece.
She's allergic to men.
Oh, who's being that way? That sounds like Vanessa. Is it Vanessa?
Christine.
Who says
Christine? Wait, was it Christine?
Is that Chris?
Is it Christine or Christine? Is it two names? Is that one person?
Same name, but for some reason she put a pregnant pause in between.
So is that a girl?
Yeah.
Christine? Okay, Christine. I love men.
I love men too.
But they don't always love me back.
Vanessa hates men. She just hates men with a passion.
I'm actually a single Pringle because most men can't handle how independent I am in my social media life, even though I am very much a super kind, sweet, loving, loyal to like a dog kind of person. Everyone and their mother has got issues, and they all think because you have male friends, you're cheating, which is so stupid. So I'm in a relationship now with my couch. And we watch Netflix a lot. It's complicated.
Never going to chill by yourself.
It's complicated. Don't ask. I call him Oscar the couch. So sometimes I rub my feet on his.
I don't name my furniture.
Well, you're not by yourself, so you're not as crazy as I am yet.
Oh, I have a deep mental state, that's for sure. I have to wait until my firearms license is approved before I could go, all antisocial again.
That's the hard part about flying, is that you can't fly with your fun gear. Oh.
Well, it is kind of a safety issue.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that how many Americans try and cross the Canadian border with their guns.
I actually used to live in both Washington State, and I also lived up in upper state New York. So I actually used to go up into Canada quite a bit until they, told us no more. And then I finally had to get a, passport. But I used to go up there a lot. So I've been to Canada.
Remember the days when you didn't need your passport to cross the Canadian-U.S. border?
Yes, I loved it.
Still don't. But here's what happened. is after 9/11, some old bitty Republican woman, blamed Canada for the terrorists crossing the border in Detroit to get into the United States.
Well, that's
Now,
stupid.
last time I checked, for me to get into the United States, I had to go through an American border. So they implemented Canadians having to use passports to get into the U.S. Canada said, we don't like that. The U.S. and the TSA said, we don't care. And then so the Canadian government responded by saying that, okay, you need your passports to cross the border to come into Canada. And the Americans said, that's not fair. Why are you doing this to us? Well, you just did it to us. And that's literally what happened. It's as stupid as that.
That is stupid.
Yeah. And now they just hide behind, whatever they can to search you, right?
If Canada literally wasn't as cold as it is, I would probably live there.
It's not cold. It's only cold for like
It is when you were born and raised in California and your blood,
everything's cold for
if
you.
it's 60 degrees, I'm freezing.
60 degrees is t-shirt and shorts weather.
That's the crazy part about living here. When it's like 55 here, we're all freezing our cake holes off. Like literally we're in like parkas, for God's sake, shopping. It's insane. We're like, none of us are used to it. And if it rains, God forbid, no one goes out. It's like,
now,
what is that?
Cold is minus 40 Fahrenheit. That sucks. That's cold. Minus 30 Fahrenheit is cold.
And it got
minus
down to negative
Fahrenheit
4.
is cold. Minus 10 Fahrenheit, that's hoodie weather.
You guys are nuts. Like, I'm still wondering, like, what's the weather going to be like in May in Reno? Is it cold there because you're close to the mountains? Like, I don't even know what the weather's going to be like there. I don't even know if I should bring a jacket or what. I don't even know.
I don't even go outside. Why would I go outside when I can stay inside?
I thought we had to go do those events. Like, we're going to be outside looking for aliens.
They're your choice.
Oh.
They're your choice.
I'll let the people decide if they want me to go because I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always bring a jacket. I don't even know if I own a jacket, to be honest with you. We don't usually wear jackets around here. We wear like zipper sweatshirts, pullovers. I think I might. Let me show you what I wear. Like, I have this. This is about the biggest jacket I own. Like, it's like North Face sweatshirt. I don't know if you guys can see this. That's about it. We don't wear jackets around here.
It was a whopping 8 degrees today, and I wore a hoodie. That's 8 degrees Celsius, so that's
It was here today.
40.
When it's like 60 or below, Jax ain't going out.
Why?
I don't even go check my mail.
That is so ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's the way I roll, yo.
Mm-hmm. Redonkulous.
Yeah.
On that note, Jax, you hold on for a minute. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone with a hat trick, Debster, Jennifer, Mama Catherine, and Pixie Lara with the super chats. Tomorrow night on the show, Richard Case is going to join us to explain why he hates the paranormal. Yeah, we're getting into the attitude of the paranormal tomorrow night on Spaced Out Radio. Big thank you to all of you tuning us in, all our new subscribers. If you are listening in and you're new, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We'd greatly appreciate it. And give a share and a comment after the show. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.